Get 'em Jimmy, where low shack at. The bottle's getting empty, up the crackin'. We stacking chips, all of it's what I want. Plus money winners, that's what I'm on. You can say I'm gone. I prefer elevated public sports radio. Time to get educated, get produced. Leave the juice, letting loose with so much abuse that the bookies wanna call it truth. They getting slaughtered. Can't forget Jeff and low baggers in the chat. That's a lethal weapon, 'cause we be pubbing.
What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy Friday, September 2nd to all of you. Thank you for watching Betting with the Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. Big weekend ahead of us. Big weekend ahead of us for a lot of us, but the huge weekend ahead of us for R2D2 Finland. His nephews are both in action. Joey Spencer, I'm rocking the Joey Spencer hat right now. He's now minus 550. Favorite was minus 500 a couple days ago. Big favorite. I love it. Mikkel Spencer, his brother, is also fighting. They're both fighting in Los Angeles, and we will be cheering for the Spencer brothers from Linden, Michigan. We'll be cheering for them very heavy. Kick fucking ass and get out of there untouched, man. Get out of there untouched. Let's get no headshots. Get out of there untouched. So we're cheering for the Spencer brothers. They're in the big Ortiz-Ruiz fight this Sunday in Los Angeles. So if you got some time to cheer on Joey and Mikkel, or Kells, they call him Spencer, please do that. It was a good start for Dabby Cab here on the show in NCAA football. He went 2-0-1. I did not. I went 1-3. I took the 7.5 instead of the 7. The market moves are just massive. Week 1 market moves. These lines have been out, for 6 weeks, and just huge market moves. And it's tough. It's tough balancing all the work that we have to do to cap. I probably should have gone on breaking these games down earlier. I did move on Old Dominion first half and full game, even though the markets moved towards them. But the other spots, the markets just moved so heavy. We're talking 5 and 6 point moves at some of these books. So I had to stay off spots that I kind of liked. But we'll break all that down. We have just the guy for the job. We have Bobano joining us. Shout out to all the cappers in the chat. It was a 1-1 in one day yesterday in MLB. Royals team total over 3.5 was ugly. Poor. Athletics first 5 pushed. Waldichuk looked really good. And Milwaukee, Arizona, first 5 under 3.5 and plus 105 was a casher. North Ender has favorite 16-1 in NCAA football. Slatsy, Joey Spencer, small town soldier, R2D2 Finland's nephew, undefeated lightweight fighter whom we are cheering on. He's a guy we should get on get a sponsor with, get him rolling with us. But yeah, so I'm rocking Joey Spencer, small town soldier lid right now, right here. And yeah, all is good. All is good. It's a very exciting time of year. And I really wanted to have this will be my last show here in Parkdale. So it's the last time I'll be here amongst the Pigeon Fuck Fest and the garbage fires and the whiff of crack smoke. This will be the last time. We're going to, starting Tuesday, be in a nice, quiet neighborhood. Yeah. And if you're like, well, how are you going to have any edge in this quiet neighborhood? The Kraken will give me the edge. The Kraken. That's the answer to that. Shout out to all the cappers joining us. We got Clint Starr, the diehard MMA podcast. It's Happy Friday, everybody. UFC pairs Charles Jourdain at minus 140, and Jourdain wins in round 3 plus 1,300 for a sprinkle from our diehard MMA podcast, the star of. I'm going to copy and paste that information. Don't forget that on Saturday, the UFC's early. So we got UFC starting, I believe, at 12 p.m. Eastern. It's in Gay Paris. It's starting at 12 p.m. Eastern. And then we have the big Notre Dame Ohio State live bet stream right here, hosted by Dabra Kadabra. There's LJ from H-Town says, Happy Friday, Jimmy. Let's cash Astros minus a half, first 5 plus 105. Rays first 5 plus 115. God, the Rays. Look what Kevin Cash has done. Just unbelievable. Rangers, Red Sox, first 5 over 5. Seattle minus 1.5 plus 125. And Serena minus 125. Look, how do you not cheer for Serena in the U.S. Open? I did take a look at what she was, the odds were to win it, even though I know nothing about tennis. And plus 1,400 was what I was being offered. I did reach out to the great Dennis Garcia, and he gave me a real insightful feedback as to why I shouldn't make the bet. Although, what she's doing is really special. I also Kyle Hintlian reached out, told me to move on. Who did I bet here? Let me pull this up on Jack Draper. I got in a minus 150. Yeah, and put a unit on it. So shout out to Kyle Hintlian's making a huge bet, like one of the biggest bets that a low bagger's ever made. So I'll be cheering heavy for Kyle, but I wanted a little bit of action in there with him. There's Moose money in the house. 5-1 last night. MLB and NCAA. The best stretch of the year is here. Ryan Mueller, Jeff Shahadi, control your vessel. Serious business. Love it. North Ender, Real Deal Prime, Wine Time Sports, D. Jenkins, David Summers. Yes. David Summers back in action. We've missed him very, very much. The Summers of Taint was a big look for us a year ago. We missed David Summers very, very much. Slats got a nice line with Redblacks +5 in CFL, now at 3.5. Also on Nick Pavetta, over 1.5 walks, which is at 12 of the last 15. Very, very interesting. Yes. The money coming in on the Redblacks. I'm very curious to see what Machocha does after the bye. I'm looking forward to talk about that game. Sharon Pulliam in the house, saturated, ready to get to work. Von Polo, Charm City, Black Thor King, Mike M, ready to go. Says, catch that West Virginia first half. Yeah, it was beautiful. Obviously, in looking back now, Tennessee first half was going to be glorious. Minnesota first half got in there. It wasn't easy. It was expected, but still, we didn't get there till 25 seconds left in the first half. That under was just one of the worst bets I could have made in the Central Michigan Oklahoma State game. 1-3, not the kind of start we wanted, but it's early, and we'll take. There's Sky Dragon right there. My guy Dennis Garcia in the house. Von Polo's on Temple. The market move towards Duke is confounding. All the bigger bets are on Temple. So why is the market moving towards Duke? This same thing happened in the Penn State. Penn State was the better team and covered. Same thing happened. I should have. We got to be very aware of these spots and see if it continues to happen, because why would the books be giving you a better number on Temple is the question. We'll break all that down. Officer of 50, Ayashi Allah, our guy Robert Cherry in the house, ready to get the day started. I love it. Oh, and he praying that he doesn't have to have back surgery. We are praying for you. I hope you can get your back taken care of without surgery. Thinking of you, Robert Cherry, our guy. Billy Friedrich starting off nice. Turn a losing day into a winner. Nice job in college football. Space Guard Ghostman says Ace threw away the game. Also, a run shouldn't have happened for the Nats. The ball didn't hit him. I wasn't paying close attention to the late. I did after the first 5. I kind of stopped paying attention to that game. I did see that the A's gave one away. There's our guy. First 5 in full game under in the Guardians. Leaned Orioles, but didn't move on them. Rolling into the weekend with money in the bank. Let's have a great day, fam. And congratulations on your basketball team's huge pickup, Spider. Look at that starting 5 you guys have. Wow. I can't wait the basketball season just around the corner, and we have so much fun with basketball here. Wine Time says I like Old Dominion as well. I hope you got in early. North Ender says Dallas Keuchel Day. Very strange that total's gone from 10 to 9. There's been a slight move to Pavetta and the Red Sox, and this has happened before. I handled Keuchel really well right at the beginning, and then I guess when everybody got on the fade Keuchel train, I don't know. I've not been handling it well. Let's get Schnizzle's action up here. He's on first 5 full game under with his Guardians. What a start by Bradish again. Jesus, Kyle Bradish. Remember that angle that we talked about yesterday. And Nasty Nate says, I need to get you a New Mexico State hat. I'd rock it for sure, a New Mexico State hat. For sure. Control Yourself says, goodbye, old Parkdale. Yes. And Sky Dragon says, no more pigeons. Yeah, it's a big change in my life. And it's for the best. It's for the best. Look, I put myself in a position where I lived in a shitty neighborhood. But I don't want my kids to be forced to walk outside and see the corner of King and Jameson, So I'm happy to get them out of there. And Johnny Gunn says, are you worried your ROI might go down without the crack smoke and the pigeon fucking? That's a good question, and we'll keep an eye on it. But I don't know what it's going to be like, to be honest with you. It seems it's very surreal right now. We move fully in tomorrow. So I don't know what it's going to be like. And Skydraken betting Tom Jonovich 2-0 sets at plus 300 right there for our Dennis Garcia. Billy Friedrich likes Michigan State minus 21 today. Maybe first half as well. Maybe Lehigh. Ooh, wow, plus 30 as well. How about the backdoor cover by the Chips? That was a nice cover by the Chips. It was very impressive. Blackdoor King, Abel A is TCU in Illinois. Look, I get it, but I don't see how. I couldn't make a bet on Illinois when you could get it at 5.5, and now it's at 1.5. I couldn't do it. All right, we got T ready to go. Nuke Worker, Jedi for Life. Our guy Jedi for Life. Great to see you, Rodney Barton. Okay, this is good. Josh Point back in business. RVD 420, 3-1 NCAA. Big shout out to Big Ragu. I love that. RVD 420, and you're gonna see a lot more Big Ragu on this channel. There's Stimmy OG, Robert Franklin, and thank you, Josh. We got to hook up. Josh is a Toronto guy. So let's, I met Josh through your first guest, and your only guest. That's all you need. All these sports, he's a unicorn capper. He caps them all. We have a huge card, CFL, NCAA football, and MLB. We got to be brisk. We got to be quick. We got to be tight with our breakdowns. And I am very excited to hammer this card. There's Coin in the house. Tony Hill, Lit Picks. A great, great group. Let's go out there and get that cash. Please welcome to the show from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada's Steel Town, Canada's Black and Yellow, Ian Cameron to the show. Ian, how are you, my man?
I'm feeling great after last night. Holy shit. 8-0 sweep of the board in college football. It was just an outstanding night. Everything came together. And on a night like that, you win the easy ones and you win the ones you maybe shouldn't have won, like Central Michigan coming through the back door, like Ball State kicking a field goal late in the fourth quarter to send in when they're down, 57-10 at the time, or 59-7 they were down, actually, or 56-7 they were down at the time. They kick a field goal, game goes over the top. So it was an amazing night in college football, but I'm petrified of the downturn after a night like that. So, but I put in the prep work to make sure that doesn't happen.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's get right to work. We have a ton ahead of us. There is Dommy Gun Ricci in the house. Who is doubting my Mets under first five over full game? What a beautiful, beautiful bet that was. And I hate that I didn't move on the New York Mets myself. Let's get into CFL right now. 7:30 p.m. Eastern, Ottawa Redblacks. This is the only game tonight. Ottawa Redblacks 2-8, 2-3 on the road. The Montreal Alouettes 4-6, 2-2 at home. Molson Memorial Stadium in Montreal, Quebec. Let's move over to the line history in this one. Sorry, it's just going to take me a second. Let me get back here. Get over here. Get over to the CFL. And here we are. Line history in the CFL. Redblacks, Alouettes, a big move towards the Ottawa Redblacks. They open up at plus 5.5. At Pinnacle, they're available at 4.5, but it did go down to 3.5 at 9:08 this morning. It's back at 4.5, which is interesting. Interesting move back over, back towards Montreal. Let's take a look at the total here. Opened up at 49 and has not moved off that number at Pinnacle, been sticking at 49. Al's coming off their bye week. I'm very curious to see what kind of football team comes in off their bye week. Their defense has been putrid, and Harris has been very good, keeping his career alive here for Machocha. They had a strong couple weeks before the bye. They shocked everybody by going into Winnipeg and defeating them 2017 with some, fortunate bounces, fortunate kicks. Then they beat the Ticats 29-28 on the last second field goal in week 11. Harris threw for 382 yards in that game. Eugene Lewis, second in the league with 849 receiving yards. Now with Lawler hurt, you can expect him to be soon the league leader. This Montreal defense looks terrible. Can Machocha make changes with the bye week? They're allowing 5.3 yards per carry. Redblacks have been very good on the road. 5-1 against the spread last 6 road games. Arbuckle started his first game for Ottawa. It was a big 25-18 win in Edmonton last Saturday that took a little bit of heat off of the coaching staff after that ugly 30-12 loss at home to the Elks the previous week. These teams played in a 40-33 Alouettes win. How many weeks ago was that? 6 weeks, a month and a half ago. And there are still injuries for the Redblacks to worry about. the Alouettes are getting quite a bit healthier, although Stanback is still out. Take it away for us here, Bobano, Redblacks, Alouettes.
Yeah, I still like Ottawa here at the +4, and especially when I see that Pinnacle's got a +4.5. I mean, that's, to me, that's a 1 point difference from what I got it at, which was +5.5. So we don't lose significant value. We don't lose significant key numbers when it comes to a 5.5 to a 4.5. So now that I see 4.5 at Pinnacle, once I heard you starting to throw out 3.5, I'm like, whoa, maybe we got to pump the brakes. But no, at 4.5, I'm still in. With Ottawa, even though Montreal's coming off a bye. What did a bye week do to Montreal the first time they had it with Danny Machocha? Oh yeah, they lost outright as 8-point favorites against Edmonton and blew a lead in the second half. That's what happened. That's what they did with a bye week. So I don't worry too much about a bye week for Montreal. Last time they were in this spot with Machocha, I believe it was his first game after he fired Kahari Jones as well. They played Edmonton off a bye, and they actually had a good start, but they ended up blowing the lead in the second half and losing that football game. I just think Ottawa is going to have a little spurt here with Nick Arbuckle at quarterback. Not saying he played phenomenal last week, but I love the spot. I love the situation for Ottawa in Edmonton last week. They got the job done, winning outright as small underdogs. And it's not that Arbuckle played phenomenal. He didn't. But he was steady. He was sound. Didn't make mistakes. Moved the football, kept the offense on the field. It was gradual increments of yardage through the air from Arbuckle, relied on the run game, relied on the defense. It was a very good, solid, complete team effort. And I think now there's a little extra pep in their step. And for Ottawa, this game's huge. They're 2 games back of Montreal. Suddenly, if they win this game, they're only 1 game back of what will likely end up being the last playoff spot in the East, which is second place. All right, the third place team in the East is not making the playoffs. The fourth place team in the West is going to cross over, knock them out, and take their spot. So it's very important to finish second in the West Division. And if Ottawa wins tonight, they're all of a sudden just 1 game back in Montreal. I think they're capable of doing it. They've also covered 9 straight times in Montreal, 9-0 ATS for Ottawa in their last 9 trips to Montreal. And Montreal's a tough team to lay points with. I know Trevor Harris and the offenses look better, but the defense is still struggling. They haven't been covering numbers at home. They have a losing ATS record at home, and that dates back to last year. Especially as favorites, and they've given up 28, 35, and 32 points in their last 3 home games against Hamilton, Winnipeg, and Edmonton. If you're giving up 28 plus in your last 3 home games, that's not a team I'm looking to lay more than a field goal with. So their defense has been leaky, especially here at Percival Molson. I think it's a very competitive, close, down-to-the-wire tight game, worst-case scenario, and I wouldn't even rule out Ottawa winning outright. So I like Ottawa plus the points. It's probably my favorite side this week in the CFL. And I also like the over here, 49. I think Ottawa totals moving forward are a little bit undervalued because I think Arbuckle will improve that offense. And at the same time, Montreal's got a good enough offense with Harris. He's the guy now after they traded Adams. And at the same time, Montreal's defense is still very, very, very leaky. And we've seen that the last few weeks. So I also like points to be scored in this game.
Well, I'll lock you in on that over 49 at -112. I'll tell you what I'm doing here. And it's a pretty simple, and it maybe is sort of a cop-out, but this year in the NFL, do not want to be involved in any team that I'm going to buy at a high price point. And I want to buy on every team low and not move on them high. Here, after the Redblacks defeated the Elks, who are terrible at home, with Arbuckle at quarterback, I just need to start doing this. I just need to ensure that in the NFL season, I don't see the week before a team do well and then want to back them, especially with my curiosity of what Machocha will do now that he's been running the team for a while out of a bye. And I'm interested. I feel a little better now that it's come back to 4.5. On the total, I can't believe it's at 49. I can't believe it hasn't moved off that number. 73 points were scored the last time these two teams met. And again, that I'll let that just be a red flag for me. And I'll live vicariously through you, Bobano. Redblacks plus 4.5 at -111. And Ottawa, Montreal over 49 at -112 for Bobano. Let's keep rolling. Thank you, Fat Wally. He says, remember Roy DeWalt from BC in the mid-'80s. Yes, this is Casey Printers, the third stringer for the Chiefs, better known as. back in the day. But yes, and a lot of guys want to know what a Redblack is. We got to be quick here. It's a sad answer. Bobano, do you want to give them the sad answer of what a Redblack is?
Yeah, the Redblack, the Redblack is you're right. It's basically the team name. It's been adopted. There was basically tried to revive the Roughriders name with the Redblacks, but yeah, it's disappointing. The Redblacks, the French equivalent is Rouge et Noir, apparently, with that. So it's not a name I would have chosen, but it is what it is. It's like basically like it's basically another form like the Alouette. It's like a jet. This is like a form of people that boat ships, on the sea. That's what a Redblack. It's not really much.
The French equivalent does sound. Everything sounds better in French, but that is Parisian French, not Canadian French. Canadian French doesn't sound as pretty. Okay, so Bobano is in. Okay, let's talk about these two spots on Sunday. I'll be cheering for Slatsy and Bobano tonight. There's Colf Coleon in the house, giving us the final score in the Red Sox game, 7-4. Bombers-Roughriders, Mosaic Stadium in Regina, Saskatchewan. That is what's next, and this one is going to be very, very fun. And are we going to be able to? Let's see if I can get the. There we go. Here we go. Let's go with the line movement in this one. There's been none, interestingly enough. This opened actually there are some fours on the board, and we're expecting to see more fours on the board here, but it hasn't moved at Pinnacle, although it's moved juice-wise. There had been a 10-cent move on the 3.5 for the Bombers. It's come back 3 cents, but open at -3.5, -106, now -3.5 at -113. From a total standpoint, the total opened up at 44, and there was a lot of talk. Wow, such a low total. Wow, such a low total. 9:15 this morning, it finally moved up to 45.5. So it has gone up 1.5 points. It was an enormous relief for Rider fans watching Cody Fajardo in British Columbia last week. 19-24, 321 yards, and he has the return of Shaq Evans. Duke Williams, again, listed as questionable, but Shaq Evans is going to help. The 10-1 Bombers returned from their bye with a lackluster 31-29 win against the Stamps. Their offense looked very good, 475 yards, but their defense was uncharacteristically bad. Maybe that's Mayer, the new quarterback for the Stamps, but they allowed 409 yards, still allowing a lead low 19.2 points per game. And their offense has been unbelievable. This offense, 30.1 points per game since week 5. As for most of the year, we have Big Hill and Jeffcoat questionable for them. Ellingson is out for the Bombers. That hasn't helped or hurt them too badly. And, Big Hill and Jeffcoat, other than early in the year when Jeffcoat missed, I believe he missed a game or two, but they've been questionable for most of the year. Take it away here, Bobano. Bombers, Roughriders.
Yeah, do you know how many times I've seen Jeffcoat and Jefferson, both of those guys, and Big Hill for that matter as well, questionable. They've ended up playing, so I'm going to assume they're going to be in there unless there's a massive setback. That's probably just rest, making sure they pace themselves. So there's no freaking way I'm taking Saskatchewan here. It's just a question of, do I take Winnipeg? All right. I know Saskatchewan to me still is a fraud. And even after beating BC last week, look, the defense is healthy. It's the one thing you got going for you right now after the Roughriders. That D-line with Marino and Pete Robertson, the sack leader, is back. They've got Sankey at the linebacker spot, who's outstanding. Secondary now, Marshall and everybody's back there. I mean, that's a healthy defense. And when that's a healthy defense, it's a very good defense. And that defense got the job done last week against BC. But Cody Fajardo still under pressure way too many times. The offensive line is still not blocking and protecting very well at all. Even last week, 7 sacks for BC, even though Saskatchewan won that game. I mean, that offensive line is still a big problem right now. And Craig Dickinson's got to figure it out. Someone's got to. I mean, you cannot keep putting your quarterback under this kind of pressure. He's going to get hurt at some point. If this keeps up, Mason Fine's going to be in there because Cody Fajardo will get that knee banged up again, and he's already had an injury there. So they got to shore that up on the offensive line, and I don't know if they're going to do that against Winnipeg because if Jeffcoat and Jefferson and that defensive front are all healthy and all ready to go, that's a mismatch in the trenches. I don't see how Saskatchewan's offensive line, the way they've played the last several weeks, wins that battle in the trenches at the line of scrimmage. against Winnipeg's defensive line. I just don't see it. Not with what we've seen here from the Bombers the last several weeks. So that's a bad matchup issue. But the Saskatchewan defense at home, they are getting more than a field goal at home. Home dog price. I understand the tantalization of maybe wanting to take Saskatchewan, but when you've played a weak schedule, the weakest schedule by far to me of any team in the CFL, you've played nothing but East teams, nothing but Edmonton, and nothing but BC. And in 2 of the games against BC where they had Nathan Rourke, you got crushed. And the one game you played BC where they didn't have Nathan Rourke, in a game where Rourke was out, Michael O'Connor gets hurt, TJ Lee, their best cornerback, gets hurt, and you're down to Antonio Pipkin, the third quarterback for BC. That's what it took for Saskatchewan to finally beat a good team this year. Sorry, I'm not sold on Saskatchewan. There's no way I would take Saskatchewan here. I don't know if I'm taking Winnipeg. I'll wait to see if they're fully healthy on that D front. Ellingson out bothers me a little bit, but I'm not worried too much about that because Schoen and Wolotarski and Greg McRae, how about him, the former UCF player, has gone and made him an impact now in that receiving corps. Mike O'Shea's team just keeps finding players to fill those voids, fill those holes when other players are out due to injury. That's why they're the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. That's why they're the 2-time champs. They've got incredible depth at every position. There's no way I take Saskatchewan here. It's just a question of, do I lay the points? I'm undecided. So for right now, it's a pass.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want the Rough Riders game against the Lions to be in my head too much. I love
how impressive was that? I mean, that's the third quarterback that ended up finishing that game for BC. They lost their best cornerback to injury, and that's when Saskatchewan's passing game, only then Saskatchewan's passing game really got going in that game. How much do you make of that? I mean, it was a depleted BC team, and that was their only good quality win, in my opinion, this year as well.
Yeah, no, it's all fair to say. I don't want the Bombers, though. I'm the opposite. This would be Rough Riders.
Saskatchewan or nothing. See, for me, it's Winnipeg or nothing. All right. But we might end up both with nothing.
Yeah, it's quite likely that happens with college football here and NFL around the corner. I don't need to push here. Let's keep rolling. We have 2 games on Monday, the Labor Day Classics here. We have college football up next and then Major League Baseball. Let's go to Monday, September 5th. Toronto Argonauts 5-5, 1-2 on the road at Hamilton. Tiger Cats 3-8, 3-2 at home at Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton, Ontario. Let's move over to the line history in this one. Let me just move over. This is the pinnacle line history of the Argos-Ticats game. We have the Argos opening up at +1 4 days ago. Nothing has moved. I guess one cent moved to the Ticats at -1. So very little there. From a totals perspective, this 49.5 was juiced to the over. Now it's heavily juiced to the under. So I imagine that it's gone down to 49, possibly 48.5 at some books. Tiger Cats have lost 2 of 3 versus Toronto. That 37-20 setback in Toronto was ugly last week. And Jamal Peters, 3 interceptions, ran one back, completely changed the game. McLeod Bethel Thompson, 258 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. The Argos completely shut down the Ticats in the second half. Andrew Harris done for the season. So last week without Andrew Harris, and we were questioning why Andrew Harris's numbers weren't very good, and the offensive line is to blame, it looks like, because without Andrew Harris, no Argos running back ran for more than 16 yards last week against Hamilton. For Hamilton, Dane Evans has just got to sit on the sidelines now. 3 interceptions last week, no touchdowns. Schultz came in, went 13-15 for 144 yards and a touchdown, and we expect Schultz to start. Bobano will tell us about that. Hamilton had 151 more offensive yards than Toronto, but still lost. Turnovers, twice on downs, 1 fumble and 3 picks. I mean, you're going to lose. The Argos have lost 12 of their last 14 in Hamilton. Is this a buy low spot on your Tiger Cats, Bobano?
It is, but I ain't buying. I'm just going to go there as a fan on Labor Day and cheer. I'm done putting money behind this team. I'm done and I took them last week against Toronto. I'm just going to cheer, hope for the best, hope they resurrect this miserable season somehow. And if they're going to do it, they're going to have to do it with Dane Evans on Monday. Matt Schultz is out, Jimmy. It's 4 to 6 weeks. We're not going to see him anytime soon. He's got a wrist injury. So Dane Evans has to figure out the cobwebs in his head, the demons in his head, the voices in his head, whatever the fuck. is plaguing him right now, and figure it out. All right. You're a guy that's led this team to a Grey Cup title game, not winning it, but Grey Cup title game, which is still a very impressive feat, 2 years in a row. You're a good quarterback. You're capable of much better than this. Figure it out. Simple as that. I'm sick of the excuses, sick of the decision making. You got to make plays when they're there. Take what the defense gives you. Not every pass right now has to be a 30-yard touchdown strike, and I think he's getting into that thought process way too much. It's okay to hand the ball off. It's okay to, take a little screen pass for 6 yards on first down. You don't have to go for it all the time. And I know he knows this, but when you're struggling with your confidence, you've had a tough season personally and as a team, and it all started with all the fumbleitis he had early in the season. That's what got this negative train of momentum running off the cliff for Dane Evans this year. So it's all about, settling down and, really figuring it out at this point in time if you're Dane Evans. And, part of me thinks he's heard it all week. And I mean, obviously they were very harsh with him, with the media, obviously, and the critique, the scathing critique. And he was harsh with himself. I will give Dane credit for that. Took the bullets. He said, I was awful. I lost us this game. I take full responsibility for losing that game last week in Toronto. It was a noble thing for him to do. Actually, I think that'll go a long way with the team this week. I think they'll appreciate that. I think they'll respect that. I think if you like Hamilton, take him first half, because that's what they've been doing all year at home, winning in the first half and then coughing it up. Do you know that this team would be 7-4 right now instead of 3-8 if the games ended at halftime this year? Can you believe that? They would be 7-4. They'd be first place in the East Division, 7-4 record if every game they've played up till this point ended at halftime. They played no second half. Hamilton would be 7-4 right now. Instead, they're 3-8, languishing right now near the bottom of the East Division. It's painful. That's how bad the second half performances have been. We saw another Picasso, another Rembrandt of a second half from the Ticats last week against the Argos. So I kind of lean Hamilton too, because I think it's one of those. If we don't win this game, we're in deep shit. All right, and we lose even greater ground to the Argos for first in the East Division. We might lose greater ground to Montreal for that last playoff spot in the East. So I think you're going to get Hamilton's best. I just don't know if it's going to be good enough. Because I will say this, Toronto's defense is playing well. Toronto's offense, just tore apart. Still ravaged by injury, Hamilton defense. They missed Deontay Evans, their best corner by far. That's concerning. So I like the over here. I'm going to stick with that. That will be an official play. I like the over because, look, every Hamilton-Toronto game this year's gone over. There's a lot of penalties in the game, and that usually creates shorter fields for the offense. And I think you're going to see more of that here. I mean, we saw high-scoring games the first two meetings. I think you're going to see more of the same here. So over 49 is at bookmaker right now, -115. I will lock that in as an official play. I will lean to Hamilton in the first half, but I ain't making that official, and I ain't putting any more money for now behind this Ticats team.
Over 49, -115. Noli asking about unders with these two teams. These guys used to be dead nuts unders last year, and that's.
I thought they would be unders too. I actually liked the under the first meeting early in August. We talked about it. I liked the under in that first game, and it was points galore in the second half. It flew over the total. So I flipped the next game and I took it over. It cashed in Hamilton. I went back to the over last week. It flew over the total. And I think it's just the nature of the rivalry. Teams don't quit when they're behind. They try to score. And point differential matters in these rivalry games in the division, where if you're tied record-wise with a team, the tiebreaker is point differential. So if you can punch in that late touchdown when you're down by 21 points in the fourth quarter, that's going to help you in terms of your point differential. So I think that plays a part in some of these rivalry games going over as well. Not just the matchups on the field. It's that, hey, we try to keep scoring even if we're down big right till the end.
Yeah, not last week, but the game before in Hamilton, I was heavy on the unders, and that was the beginning of my downward swing here in CFL.
And all four CFL games this weekend are rivalry games, divisional games where the point differential matters. So they're tricky games from that factor involved to bet under because of that. The one I would bet under for Noli, I'll give him an under that I like in the CFL this week. It's Winnipeg, Saskatchewan. That would be the one I'd get close to betting the under in. That's the only one.
And that has gone up 1.5 this morning, which is, I kind of find that look interesting because a lot of people I know think that's just too low of a number for the rule changes in the CFL. I like where you're at there. Let's talk about this last game, then we're going to get into college football. Edmonton Elks. This is Monday, September 5th. Edmonton Elks, Calgary Stampeders. The Argos game's the early one on Labor Day. This is the later one, McMahon Stadium in Calgary, Alberta. This opened up at 12.5. I thought it was ridiculous. The news from Lawler comes out, but it's not just Lawler who's not going to be there now. Arsenault is not going to be there. Emmanuel Arsenault is not. He's on the 6-game IR. So your 2 top receivers are gone, and the market has not moved. In fact, the 13s are on their way. Slatsy says no Lawler or Arsenault for the Elks. Mayer ready to take over quarterback spot and so many weapons for the Stamps. Peyton Logan continue to carry Malik Henry. How do the Elks keep up? Double-digit win this series until the horrific loss the Stamps gave the Elks up in Edmonton 49-6 in July. It was just the Dogs covered. It was 9 out of 10 times the Dogs had covered, and then all of a sudden Calgary goes up to Edmonton and just destroys them. And I know Chris Jones is going to be talking a lot about that loss. I still am comfortable with my spot here. I think this is a possibility, even though this is an interprovincial rivalry where it's possible that Calgary doesn't care as much about this spot as the Elks are so bad. But the Stamps do know what happened the last time Edmonton came to Calgary, and they played them pretty tough, 30-23 final. That was, I believe, an 8.5-point spread, and we cashed on the Elks. But in that game, Calgary outgained Edmonton badly, outgained them by 147 yards. Clearly, the Lawler and Arsenault being out is going to hurt this team badly. The Stamps looked good in that 31-29 loss in Winnipeg. Mayer, 23-28, 294 yards, 3 touchdowns against what's been the league's best defense all year long. Edmonton's defense is terrible, but this game means a ton to Edmonton. Labor Day Classic. I mean, are they just going to get absolutely destroyed? I did move on Edmonton earlier in the week at +7 and +12.5. Johnny K says Elks money line. Take it away here for us, Bobano. Elks Stamps.
Yeah, I like the over for sure. Even with the injuries at the receiver position for Edmonton, those are big injuries. I mean, that means you're going to need a lot out of. Hopefully, Kyle Oxley, the quarterback that's converted into a receiver for this team, is ready to step up because he's going to have to be one of those players that really, really picks up the slack from losing Lawler, from losing Arsenault in that receiving core because he's going to have to do more. Darrell Walker, where the hell's Darrell Walker been? Can't find him with a telescope this year. What a fall from grace. This was one of the best receivers in the CFL a few years ago. He's been brutal, in my opinion. They got to hope something happens for him. He gets going. Dylan Mitchell's going to have to step up. Those are the guys that are going to have to get it done now. So it's a thin receiving core for Taylor Cornelius to work with here. But I'm already locked into the over even before the Lawler news. But now I'm going to lock in Calgary first half full game split. I'm going to split it up. First, the old baseball move right here by me. I'll do this with baseball. First 5 full game. I'm doing that with Calgary. -7 first half, -12.5 full game. I think it's a romp. I'm all on board the Jake Mayer train. I leaned Calgary last week. I liked the over even more last week against Winnipeg in that game because of Jake Mayer. I believed in the guy. I said he's going to play well, even on the road against that Bombers defense, and they nearly won the game because of him. They only lost the game, Calgary, last week, 31-29, because they couldn't stop the Bombers on defense. The Calgary defense was atrocious. And the Calgary defense is still a concern. I mean, that is your pathway to cover, at least through the back door, if you're taking Edmonton. So the Calgary defense has been shaky. They're without their best corner, Trey Roberson, who's out for the rest of the year. But it's a depleted now Edmonton offense. Is there still enough weaponry there to take advantage of it? We'll have to see, but I'm all on board Jake Mayer. I think this guy's ready to play well in the CFL, and if he keeps playing like he did last week, and I have no reason to disbelieve that he's not going to shred this Edmonton defense here in this game, it may be a while before Bo Levi Mitchell sees the field again. I really think it could be a while because I think this kid's a really good player, great talent, great poise, good arm, very good arm, underrated mobility. sees the field well, able to fit the football really into tight windows. I was impressed with Mayer on the road against a great Bombers team last week, and he just went up and down the field throughout the game against them. So I think it's a long day for Edmonton. So I like Calgary early, first half. I think the first half's the better look, quite honestly, -7. I think that especially since last Thursday and now an extended break to Labor Day Monday, I think Dave Dickinson will have the troops ready. And look, I know Edmonton got embarrassed by Calgary. There is some truth to that the revenge spot, and Chris Jones will remind them of that. Yeah, I also said that same bullshit when they played BC the second time, and BC destroyed them again. So I think it'll be a tough day for Edmonton, and I like the over.
Do you want the over 49.5 at -120 or the over 50 at -112?
Over 49.5?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that. Yep, that's good.
Okay. Oh, actually, 49.5 is -110 at Bet365. Let's give her that. Over 49.5.
So that's the thing, Slatsy, about the team total. I probably would have said I'm not going to use the first half full game split as the bets, as the official plays here on the show. The problem is the team totals aren't available at most books yet. Maybe a couple there are, but not widely available yet. But I think that would be actually my favorite look to attack if I like Calgary, and that's the team total. And if it's 31.5.
Yeah.
Oh, it is available. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, I got to do some thinking then. You know what I might do? I'm going to keep Calgary first half, -7. I'm going to switch the 12.5 with the team total over for Calgary, because I really do think they're going to get to 35 minimum. I really think so. Against that defense with that quarterback, the way he played last week, if he's anything close to that, they're getting to 35.
So team total over 31.5.
Yeah, I'll lock that in.
-120. Okay, you are locked in for that. Okay, there is, and the over 50s -110 bookmaker. We can get him to 49.5 -110 over at Bet365. So we'll give him that. All right, let's review CFL action.
Malik Henry and Kadeem Carey came back last week against Winnipeg too, as well. Maybe the best receiver Calgary's got, and obviously a great running back. So they're loaded now on offense.
Redblacks +4.5 -111 for Bobano, and Ottawa Montreal over 49 at -112. Then the Bombers Saskatchewan, there's no moves. Bobano's on the over 49 in Argos Hamilton Tiger Cats. Then he's on the Stamps first half -7, team total over 31.5 at -120, and the over 49.5. And I moved earlier in the week on the Elks +7 and +12.5 on the road. All right, let's roll into college football. That is what's next. There's Top Set, says finally laying on a beach chair, about to light a bat, just waiting for some kids to get the hell out of the water. So let's go just in time. Let's get into NCAA football. Bobano coming off a spectacular start to his season. Let's go. 7 p.m. Eastern, Western Michigan Broncos at number 15, Michigan State Spartans. We're at Spartan Stadium in East Lansing. Let's start with the line history here in this one. We move back over to college football. And here we go. Let's get this over here. And let's also pull up the cash flow as well. Okay, here we go. In this game that we start with, the Western Michigan game, we have slight line value to Michigan State. About, I'd say 10, maybe 15%. There's 29,329 tickets in, 76% of tickets, 88% of the cash on the spread on Michigan State. Then 57% of tickets on the over. We don't have a line on how much cash is being put on the total. This opened up with Michigan State -20, and it's moved to -21. This total opened up at 54.5. It got all the way down to 53. It's back up to 54. There is a vividness bias that these Spartans can't cover big spreads and aren't that good of a football team. That's changed. That changed last year. It's got to have changed. Michigan State 11-0 in their history versus Western Michigan. They last played in 2019, a 51-17 win for Michigan State. Western, so there's different things here in this game, obviously. There's the numbers that we'll break down, and then there's the psychological aspect of a lot of the players on Western Michigan are in-state guys who obviously were interested in playing for Michigan or Michigan State, and not one of them clearly was offered a scholarship from Michigan State when they tried to get one. We'll see. That's got to add something motivation-wise to Western Michigan. They're coming off a strange season last year. They upset Pittsburgh. Then they were played poorly in the MAC. The MAC was tricky last year when teams like Western Michigan and Ball State were so average when we thought they were going to be better. Then they beat Nevada in the Quick Lane Bowl, but of course, Nevada was without their starting quarterback. They're very inexperienced at offense. 2 redshirt freshmen at quarterback, and Jack Salopek and Marion Hrabowski. 6 passes those two threw last year. They're going to be throwing to transfers, redshirt freshmen, sophomores. 4 of the receivers didn't catch a pass last year. What they do have is a strong running game. Sean Tyler, second in the MAC with 1,150 yards. Ladarius Jefferson started his career at Michigan State. Wasn't wanted over there. There's going to be a lot of motivation factors for this Western Michigan game. Will it matter? I don't know. There's big show picks in the house. Billy Friedrich says Western Michigan is not very good. And Control Your Vessel says, I kind of lean Western Michigan, but I think they've lost too many key players from last year. When have Spartans ever covered a 3-touchdown spread? Coin says this game's one in the trenches. Brian Watson on Michigan State minus 21, and Billy Friedrich, Michigan State, first half and full game. The Broncos running game averaged 214 yards per game. That was 16th in the country last year. The problem here is that's feeds right into Michigan State. Their run defense is very good. Top 20 run defense, allowed 0.8 touchdowns per game. It's their secondary that was their huge weak spot. 328 yards per game they allowed through the air. They have 5 defensive backs that are returning. They must improve. They're expected to. They come in off their best season since 2015, 10-2, beat Pittsburgh in the Peach Bowl. Peyton Thorne returns at quarterback. Interestingly enough, his dad, Jeff, is the new offensive coordinator at Western Michigan. Thorne set a single-season school record with 27 touchdown passes, but he threw 10 interceptions. He lost 6 fumbles. Jaden Reed is returning. Jaden Reed played at Western Michigan in 2018. Jaden Reed, 1,026 yards and 10 touchdowns last year. Kenneth Walker drafted by the Seahawks in the second round, so he is gone. Tucker brought in 2 transfers to replace him, Jalen Berger from Wisconsin and Jarek Broussard from Colorado. We'll talk about the mass exodus from the Colorado Buffalo program a little bit later here. Broussard led the Pac-12 in rushing in 2020, and Tucker and him have history from Colorado in 2019. Take it away here, Bobano. Western Michigan versus Michigan State.
This is one that it's now come back into a range where I could make Michigan State an official play here, minus 21. I think this gets ugly for Western Michigan, really ugly. This team has to run by the way, this team is only going to be a team, I think, that's going to run the football this year because of the fact they're breaking in Jack Salopek, their new quarterback. He doesn't have much experience. The O-line, by the way, only has to replace 3 starters. Now, so does Michigan State's offensive line, but come on, you're going to compare Michigan State to Western Michigan on the offensive line. Michigan State's going to replace their 3 starters with much better talent than Western Michigan will. So I'm worried about them. They lose Caleb Ellaby from last year, who was a terrific quarterback for Western Michigan. He's no longer there. Again, running the football is going to be paramount for them. I'm not sure they're going to be able to do that. The weakness of Michigan State, although I do think their secondary is going to be better this year, has to be for Mel Tucker, but I think they're going to have trouble running the football. And if they can't run the football, I don't even know, even against a secondary that struggled last year, they're going to be able to make a ton of plays in the passing game. I think that Michigan State defense will have a pretty good night. On the flip side, I like Peyton Thorne. He's a very good quarterback. Losing Kenneth Walker is definitely tough because he was just that good running the football for the Spartans last year. Mel Tucker wants to be a run-first offense. But if you read anything from Michigan State from August camp, these guys are going on about the running backs they have right now to replace Kenneth Walker. They really think there's going to be not the drop-off people think. And that could be true because as long as you've got a good run-blocking offensive line, that remains to be seen. But apparently they like their running backs. They love Jarek Broussard, the Colorado transfer, who they think is going to be very solid. They love Jalen Berger, who they got from Wisconsin. So they got a pair of transfers here, Jalen Berger, Jarek Broussard from Wisconsin and Colorado, respectively. And they don't think they're going to skip a beat running the football. And they still think that run game is going to be a force to be reckoned with. And when you look at the Western Michigan side of things and their defense, it's probably going to be rough for them coming into the year. They were 92nd in big plays last year. The secondary for Western Michigan was actually not bad, but then you start to look at that run defense. It was gashed, and it was gashed repeatedly. Well, guess what? Now you got a team that wants to run the football, probably going to be able to do so. This kind of reminds me of Illinois-Wyoming from last week a little bit, where Michigan State is going to just want to run the football, and Western Michigan might be powerless to stop it, just like Wyoming was against Illinois last week. So, and by the way, start to pay attention to the fact that the MAC conference, at least last night, the results were not good. You know, one of the few point spread covers they got, which I was the benefactor of, was Central Michigan, and that was kind of a fraudulent cover because they were down 51-15 at one point in that game. But you see Akron barely beat an FCS team. They struggled. Northern Illinois struggled last night. Ball State got absolutely destroyed by Tennessee. I mean, it was not a good night for the MAC last night in non-conference play, and I'm worried about this MAC team as well. So I would lay the 3. I got in on it a few weeks ago at 20, but it hasn't jumped past that key number. So I will lock it in. Official play: Michigan State -21.
-21 at -111 for Bobano, and I can beat that over at circa -107. So we're going -21.
Excellent.
-107. I'm interested in Michigan State. I'm also interested in the Western Michigan under. Team total under. Probably would prefer to focus on the first half, but I'm interested in both of those. Let's move on. 7 p.m. Eastern, Virginia Tech. I think I'm going to roll with you on the Michigan State spot as well. Let's move on. Virginia Tech Hokies versus Old Dominion Monarchs. It's been fun watching Ronnie take over this club. He spent so long revamping the roster throughout all the COVID mess that everybody was dealing with. They took that whole year off. And, he's revamped this roster. And I like what he has done. And they showed it at the end of last year. This team's bet on, and the public, the gamblers all know it. There's been a huge move towards them. Let's pull up what it is right now. A huge move. There's been a huge move on a lot of these games because this is week 1. They've been available for so long. It was almost enough to keep me off of Old Dominion. And then I thought that they were still going to take care of business. And I could get the 3.5 first half and the 6 full game. But interestingly enough, this opened up at 7.5, and the early money was all Hokies. They got up to 9. They were 9-point favorites. Since then, it's come all the way down to 6. And you could have got 7 yesterday. So I was beating myself up a lot. There it is. TJ just jumping in to drop off a gift. Texas Boston over 9. The gift play is 8-1 on this show. Let me pop this in here for TJ. Thank you for sharing that with us, TJ, my guy. Texas Boston is the gift. That is the Keuchel start, and that is the total that went from 10 to 9. 10 to 9, a big drop in that total, which is so strange. Let me just make sure I have that ready to discuss. Here we go. Rangers, Red Sox. That's at 7-10. So strange that total would drop the way it has. Okay, let's get back in to this spot here with the. Get this. Here we go. All right. So these two foes played in 2019. Virginia Tech won 31-17. Old Dominion beat the Hokies in 2018 by a score of 49-35. Let's see the cash flow in this one. Here you have. Slight line value again on Old Dominion. There is a team that we will talk about today that has full line value in college football. 18,019 tickets in, 31% of the tickets on Old Dominion, 64% of the cash. Got sharp money there. Sharp money there. And then 39% tickets, 41% cash on the under. That is a trickier spot here. So for the Hokies, last year was, ugly. It culminated in that 54-10 loss to Maryland in the Pinstripe Bowl. There have been a lot of changes since then. Former Penn State defensive coordinator Brent Pry, new head coach. The offense led by a new offensive coordinator in Tyler Bowen. He also coached at Penn State and spent a little bit of time with the Jags. Braxton Burmeister transferred to San Diego State. And Grant Wells comes in from Marshall. So last season, he started 13 games for Marshall, 3,535 yards, 16 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Their top 2 receivers are gone. Raheem Blackshear is gone. Malachi Thompson ran for 440 yards last season, is out. And so he's hurt. And then Jalen Holston, who is the backup for Malachi Thomas, is questionable. The defense is expected to be a lot stronger than last year's squad that allowed 393.2 yards per game. And this is the first season for the Monarchs in the Sun Belt. Ronnie's done a great job with this program. All the momentum he's created, 5-game winning streak. They did lose 30-17 to Tulsa in the Myrtle Beach Bowl, but they had that 5-game winning streak going in. The offense was strong. Hayden Wolf returned, 6'5" sophomore quarterback. This team averaged 27.8 points per game. He threw 1,933 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 7 picks. Zach Kuntz, a very strong tight end. And then they have Ali Jennings, who's had 1,066 yards and 5 touchdowns. They have Blake Watson, ran for 1,121 yards and 8 touchdowns. He's back. 4 returners on the offensive line to protect them. Take it away here, Bobano. Ray says Virginia Tech by 20+. Old Dominion has a really bad defense, and they have an average offense. So Ray on the other side of me. Take it away here, Bobano. Virginia Tech, Old Dominion.
Yeah, interesting. I like Old Dominion, but I can't take them now at 6. I mean, not when you have 8.5. I mean, that's a big, and that's crossing over the key number of 7. That's, under a touchdown now. So a lot of the value's gone. I mean, I did like Old D, and I did like that side at 8.5, but 6 not so much right now. The under's taking a lot of money for very good reason. Okay, that's going to be the strength of Virginia Tech, certainly at the beginning of the season until they get this offense going. But Brent Pry, defensive-minded coach from Penn State, defensive coordinator there for years, now the head coach here. Look, anything should be better for this program after Justin Fuente, which was a disaster. It just didn't go well for him there. I think this defense is going to be pretty good. You look at it, they've got lots of experience, 18th in terms of, or 23rd rather, in terms of returning production. 75% of their production on defense is back this year. It was a defense that last year, it wasn't great, but I think there's going to be a lot of improvement both sides of the football. The secondary in particular should be really good. There's a lot of quality depth back there, which is good to see. They've got a great linebacking tandem with Hollifield and Tisdale, combined 16.5 tackles for loss last year. The DL up front could be a little bit of an issue, though, for Virginia Tech. So, and that's one thing about the Old Dominion team coming into this year. I think Ricky Ronnie's done a great job. He's got 4 of his 5 offensive line starters back this year. So, it basically is a team where you got the one question mark for Virginia Tech's defense is the defensive line may take time to get some seasoning, to improve, develop. Secondary's great, but that could be an area where Old Dominion has better push from their offensive line against Virginia. You would not think in the trenches Virginia Tech's defensive line could lose the battle to Old Dominion's offensive line, but it could be a pretty close battle because of just some of the turnover there along that D line for Virginia Tech entering the season. I like the quarterback for Old Dominion, Hayden Wolf. I thought he played well. And remember, Old Dominion came on strong down the stretch. They played their best football late in the season to get into a bowl game. Ricky Ronnie's done a very fine job with a program that was miserable when he took over there. There's some bright signs for Old Dominion. And at the end of the day, I think they're going to have a great defense. And the defense for Virginia Tech, it worries me in this matchup a little for Old Dominion. But I'm not scared of their quarterback and their offense. Their offense coming into this game this year, they lack skill position weapons, in my opinion. They really lack at the receiver position, in my opinion. I think they're not very strong, not very deep there. They're 106th in the country in returning production on offense. And their offensive roster, Virginia Tech, this is an ACC team. This is a team that was one of the best teams in the ACC for many years under Frank Beamer years ago. Look at where they've fallen. Their offensive roster is ranked 86th out of 131 college football FBS teams entering the season. 86th. And that's based on recruiting rankings, what you did in the transfer portal, and also returning production. All of that is factored into that ranking. 86th offensive roster in the country. That's not good. So if you're going to cover, as road favorites, you got to be able to score some points. You got to be able to move the football. You got to be able to finish drives with touchdowns. And I've seen enough of Grant Wells, all right, who transferred here from Marshall. I've seen enough of this guy. If you know and watch the CFL, you know what I say about McLeod Bethel Thompson all the time, and I say it about Grant Wells. He'll play one good quarter, and you'll be up 14-0. He'll give it all back the next quarter. Pick six, fumbles, bad decisions, and the lead is gone. That is Grant Wells. He's not consistent one game to the next. He's not consistent one quarter to the next. So I still lean Old Dominion. I just cannot make it official at the current number. I lean to the under, too, because, look, Virginia Tech's going to be defense ahead of the offense. They're going to run the football. That's what Brent Pry wants to do. They brought in the running game coordinator from Wisconsin to be the new OC. It's going to be a run-heavy, slow it down, play defense type of team, Virginia Tech. And on the flip side, Old Dominion's defense certainly got better, and I'm not sure Virginia Tech's marching up and down the field against them. So I agree with the under move, but again, you've just lost all kinds of the best of the number with it.
5.5 points, 52.5 down to 47. I doubled up on Old Dominion, 3.5 and 6. We'll move on here. 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Temple Owls at Blue Devils. We're at Wallace Wade in Durham. This one is wild. A huge move to Duke. And why I say that's wild is because 43% of the tickets and 74% of the cash is on Temple. 51% of tickets, 82% of cash on the under. This was 7. This was 6.5 4 days ago. This was 7 2 days ago. This was 7 yesterday at 11:49 in the morning. It moves to 9 and 9.5. Very strange when the money's coming in on Temple. The total has gone from 53.5 down to 50. I already told you the cash flow on the side and 51 and 82 on the under. Wow. All right, here we go. Temple lost its last 7 games last year, each by at least 20 points. Stan Drayton comes in. Their offense was abysmal last year. 125th out of 130 teams. 126th in scoring at 16.3 points per game. DeJuan Mathis is the question mark here. 6'6" sophomore, former Georgia quarterback. I thought that he was going to lead this team to a more improved offense last year than what we saw. Last year, 1,223 yards, 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Darvin Hubbard comes in from Texas A&M. Jakari Norwood comes in from Illinois. This should be improved this year, but I said that last year. Mike Elko takes over at Duke after being the defensive coordinator at both Texas A&M and Notre Dame. Duke has lost 23 of their last 29 games back to October 2019. This defense last year was last in Division I football, allowing 40 points and 518 yards per game. Their offense was able to get yards, but they were so bad in the red zone. Gunnar Holmberg and wide receiver Jake Bobo both left via the transfer portal. Billy Friedrich says Duke stinks too. Mike M on Duke first half. Space Guard says Duke plays good at home. I got him at -7. Johnny K says Temple money line or pass. Billy Friedrich says just moved from 9.5 down to 8.5 in the past hour at Bookmaker, so I guess it's coming back. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Owls, Blue Devils.
Yeah, I have to take Temple now. I mean, I have to. And I don't love Temple. Who would? But who loves laying 9.5 with Duke? I mean, my gosh. I mean, we're getting carried away here as far as I'm concerned, especially. And look, there's new coaches, new coordinators, new systems on both sides for these teams. They both made coaching changes. But look, Duke was very, very non-committal with their quarterback situation right till the very end between Riley Leonard and Jordan Moore. I think it's going to be Riley Leonard at quarterback for Duke tonight in this game. But the battle came right down at the end. This was a horrible defense last year. They couldn't stop the run. They couldn't stop the pass. Last year. Yeah, it is Riley Leonard. Riley Leonard's going to be the quarterback. He won the battle for Duke. You'll see him tonight. I got to see it from Riley Leonard. Again, the one thing you've got with Temple is you've got a quarterback that played last year for this team. All right, Riley Leonard's just a fish out of water. This is going to be his first snaps for the Blue Devils. We don't know how good he's going to be. It's learning a new offense. At least with Temple, they have the Georgia transfer. Somehow Georgia thought this kid was a pretty good football player. We got to give Temple credit for that somehow they got him now. DeJuan Mathis going to be the starting quarterback again for them. Remember, he had some injuries last year. He is a dual threat quarterback. He's capable of moving the football a little bit. Look, you're talking about two very bad teams, and it's kind of a funny thing that in this matchup, you've got a Duke defense last year that was abysmal, couldn't stop anyone, facing a Temple offense that couldn't do anything. It couldn't move the football. So something's got to give there. Temple had a horrible offense last year. They barely cracked 20 points in a lot of their games, but at the same time, Duke's defense was equally as bad. So who's going to win that battle? I'm not so sure. What I do know is I don't care who Duke's playing. I don't think they're ready to lay almost double digits against anyone right now. I'm just not believing that. And I actually think we've got a quarterback here with Temple that's got more starts under his belt, more games under his belt, might be a little bit more familiar with this team, with his receivers, with the talent around him compared to Riley Leonard, who's just getting his feet wet in a starting role for the very first time. So, a Duke defensively, with Elko, I think that obviously was brought in to fix the defense, but fixing a defense as a new coach and a new defensive coaching staff, that doesn't happen overnight. That usually doesn't happen in game one. So to me, this is Temple for me, plus 9.5. It's worth it at this number. Maybe if it's 7 or it's less than that, I'm not involved, but you're going to give me at least a touchdown with Temple. I can't pass that up. There's not, to me, 10 points of difference with these two teams.
I was shocked to see this market move. And whenever I'm shocked to see a move, I usually stay off. Plus 9.5 at minus 111 for Bobano on Temple. Temple plus 9.5 at minus 111. Locked in for Owls, Blue Devils at Wallace Wade Stadium. Let's get back, and we got to speed this up a little bit. We got 2 more games left on the college football card that we are capping. We're going to move on to MLB. We have Jared TG says, morning, Jimmy, getting back into betting as football starts up. Can't do baseball by myself. Is there going to be a big NFL show this year? 2 huge NFL shows, and then we're live betting everything. But Gamblers, Gridiron Gamblers, right here with myself and Andy Molitor. He is a part of BetSperts, and he is half of the Deep Dive podcast
with our old friend Drew Dinsick, Will Capper. Yep.
Yeah, it's exciting. We're really excited about.
I miss that guy. I hope he's doing well. He's doing big things now.
Yeah, he's doing great. He's doing great. I'm really excited to have his partner Andy Molitor with us for the entire season. So that's every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Then we're going to be live betting all the NFL games. So I'm Sunday and Monday nights, and then Dutch Boy Fresh is Thursday nights. So the Thursday, it's already up. The thumbnail's already up for Thursday night football this Thursday to open up the season. Don't forget, we have the Friday night game tonight, and we're going to talk about that one next in Illinois, Indiana. But we also have NFL Pub Hub every Sunday that we're hoping that Bobano will also be a big part of that as well. So let's move on. But yeah, tons of football here at Pub Sports Radio. And this next game is the big live bet stream tonight. It's not going to be as big as Ohio State Notre Dame tomorrow night. That also will be run by our very own Dabby Cab. And then we also have a Sunday night college football bet stream. We also have that going on, and that will be hosted by Connor Mack. Connor Mack will be hosting our Sunday night college football live bet stream. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights, we have live bet streams here in college football. So join the boys while they live bet like crazy. I would be on either or both if I wasn't moving. I don't get internet new house till Sunday, so
I might have to hop on Sunday night, help my old friend out, Connor Mack. We'll see.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great if you join them. I'd love that. All right, let's move on. Oh, and don't forget of our contest, our Cappers contest. We're going to be pushing it really hard next week. $100, 5 NFL picks against the spread. The spreads are locked in Wednesday night. You have until Saturday night to get your picks in. And Jose and I will have our own show every Thursday at 2 p.m. right after Betting with the Bag, where we talk about the winners and we roast the losers. And the big thing is Slaughter is getting us a entry into the Circa Millions. So on that show on Thursday at 2 p.m., we're going to be talking about the 5 picks that we're going to be sending in. We're going to do it all together. And if we succeed in that contest, which would be so magical, we're not taking 1 cent of it. It's all going to go into us however we see fit, a big party, however we want to spend the cash. No, Isaiah B, $100 for the whole season, $100 for the whole season. Just go to pubsportsradio.com. There's a thing right at the very top of our site that says contests. You click on that, takes you right there. We also have the Survivor Pool, $100. So it's all right there. And we can't wait. We're so excited. So excited to be competing with each other, and it's all exciting. Illinois fighting Illinois, Indiana Hoosiers. We're at Memorial Stadium in Bloomington, Indiana. Let's go here, and let's start with the line movement. in this one because it's been a massive line movement. Let's go to line history. Here we go. This opened up with Indiana as 5.5-point favorites. They are now 1.5-point favorites. It did get down to 1. It got down to 1 this morning. It's come back a half point. So a huge move towards Indiana. Let's take a look. But towards Illinois. From a total perspective, it opened up at 48.5, and now it is 46.5. Here we go. Coin says, feel like Illinois plus 1.5 is the spot. Road conference dog. Saturated says, I repeat, Chase Brown is the truth. Indiana comes in off an ugly 2-10 season with 8 losses by 20 or more. They close the season on an 8-game losing streak. Tom Allen has not announced who the starter will be. Either Missouri transfer Connor Bazelak or Jack Tuttle. This team lost its top 4 running backs. Now, Sean Shivers has come in from Auburn, and Josh Henderson has come in from North Carolina. DJ Matthews returns at receiver. He got hurt last year, so we didn't get to see DJ. As after the 4th game, he got hurt. So we're going to see him. We expect him to be WR1. North Carolina transfer Emory Simmons and junior college Cam Camper. And then there's a true freshman, Omar Cooper Jr., who's expected to be, looks like really exciting receiver. The offensive line was really bad last year, allowed 29 sacks, and the running game could just never get going because of it. Jesus, fucking some sort of a jet there. I apologize. You'll hear it out your window in a second, I imagine, Bobano. Illinois comes in off an impressive 38-6 win in its opener. Chase Brown, 3 touchdowns, rushed for 151 yards. Tommy DeVito, the Syracuse transfer, 27-37 for 192 yards and 2 touchdowns. Did not commit a turnover, did not get sacked. He talked about it in the presser afterwards. Did not get sacked. He was used to running for his life. So they had 8 receivers catch at least 2 passes. The offensive line was excellent. Not only did they not allow a sack, they didn't allow Wyoming's defense to get any tackles for a loss. Indiana's defense ranked 9th in the Big Ten last year. The Illinois has held 5 of their last 6 opponents to 20 points or fewer. And Barry Lunny Jr., offensive coordinator, first-year offensive coordinator, started going no huddle. And Bielema loved it. He loved the no huddle. He loved the speed. And their defense completely shut down Peasley and Wyoming. Peasley went 6 of 21 for 40 yards, 1 for 12 on 3rd down. Take it away for us here. I guess you believe in the line movement. Has it moved too far for you to make a move on it? Take it away, Illinois, Indiana.
This actually, I took Illinois. I think it was on Monday, and it was plus 3.5 still at that time. It's like I'm not going to make it official now. But I understand why the money's come in on Illinois. It's a lot more money than I expected. I thought this would plateau at 3, and we'd see some resistance, and there'd be some people looking to lay 3 with Indiana, and the number just ripped right through the 3, down to 2.5, 2, all the way to 1. Got to pick them, with Illinois. So there's been a lot of support for the Illini. And look, Indiana's kind of starting over. They've got new coordinators on both sides of the football. Walt Bell, so head coach at UMass earlier in his career. He's going to take over as the offensive coordinator. He was also OC at Florida State for a bit. Can't really say he's done a great job there, but he's going to get the opportunity to call plays. I would expect Indiana, if his previous stops are any indication, Walt Bell, they're going to play with some tempo, or at least a little bit. I don't know if it's going to be blazing fast, but they're going to play a little bit tempo. And if you watched Illinois-Wyoming last week, you saw that Illinois played no huddle. They played up tempo even at times, especially after they got a first down or 2, and they would end up, getting the pace going a little bit. So that's why I say, even though this is an Indiana offense that was putrid last year, and now is going to turn to the Missouri transfer Connor Bazelak to be their quarterback. We remember him from last year, played for the Tigers. The offense struggled. Both of these teams might be playing with pace. So I understand. I thought it would be a lower scoring game too initially, but then you see things that Indiana might play at least a little bit with pace, and Illinois certainly did it. Just be careful, because you're talking about 46.5 now with this total, which is pretty low. A night where we had one over after another. I mean, every FBS game, if I'm not mistaken, outside of New Mexico State, Minnesota, flew over the total last night. So just be careful here with the total in this game. I do like Illinois, but I just don't like it at the number now. I mean, I got 3.5. This was +6 way back in June. And now you're seeing +1 on Illinois. So it's too much of a move to make it official right now, but I still lean to the Illinois side. The one thing that bothers me, I think they're going to be able to run the football, and that's going to be the key all season, to Illinois, to whether you bet on them or you bet against them. Will they be able to run the football? Will they be able to get Chase Brown going? And I think in this game they'll be able to, because this was an Indiana team that defensively they couldn't stop anybody last year through the pass, through the air, on the ground. It didn't matter. They bring in the defensive line coach, Chad Wilt, to be the new defensive coordinator. I think Tom Allen, the head coach for Indiana, he's also going to have a hand in calling plays this year. But boy, it's a big job ahead of them, because that Indiana defense was putrid last year. The secondary actually looks like it could be the strength of the team, but Illinois is not a team that throws the football a ton. Tommy DeVito is more of a game manager at quarterback. I think their bigger issues right now are going to be the defensive line and also the linebacking core. Now, they brought in a lot of transfers, a bunch, some of them of quality, but all of this going to mesh and be cohesive on that side of the football with the defensive front seven in game one. That remains to be seen. I don't know if that's going to be the case. So, like I said, I did like Illinois, or at a better number. I still lean Illinois, but I'm not going to make it official now.
Sorry.
That's just too much of a move. It's too much, especially when it opened +6 in the spring.
Oh, I get it. Yeah, I get why. And even DG thinking of fading all these line moves. Interesting. Huge move. Keep in
mind, Illinois is on a short week. They do have a game under their belt. You could say that's an advantage compared to Indiana playing their first game. But at the same time, it's also a short week for Illinois and going on the road. They played Saturday against Wyoming. Now you're playing Friday night, in Indiana. So it depends on how you look at it.
And we talked about it yesterday on the show, the surprise that teams, where's the exact stat here? I thought I had it here. In the last 15 years, a team playing in its second game facing a team playing in its first game is only 43.9% against the spread, which is...
How about that? Not the success you'd think.
Exactly. It was a big surprise when we talked about that yesterday. All right, let's move on to the final game on the board before we get into MLB. This pops off at 10 p.m. Eastern. The TCU Horned Frogs, the Colorado Buffaloes, Folsom Field in Boulder, Colorado. And man, do these Buffaloes look bad. They have issues. And there's been a huge move to TCU because of it. This opened up with TCU as 8-point favorites. This got up to 14 3 hours ago. It's back to 13.5. So a huge move towards TCU. This total opened up at 55. It's now up to 58. Very, very, it's clear. We'll talk about it. Sonny Dykes comes in to take over from Gary Patterson at TCU. They come in off a 5-7 season. Dykes, Louisiana Tech, California Golden Bears, and SMU, most recently 71-63 as a head coach. Max Duggan, 29-game starter for the Horned Frogs, and redshirt freshman Chandler Morris will both get time, it sounds like. And they have a ton of talent at receiver, so they're going to have a lot of options. Last year's leading rusher, Zach Evans, left for Ole Miss, but they have a committee of running backs that are all, it seems like they can all comfortably take his place. And then their center is their captain, Steve Avila. He's the leader of the offensive line. Colorado coming in off an ugly 4-8 season, and then they lost a ton of talent through transfer portals, through graduation. We already talked about Jarek Broussard going over to Michigan State. Their star cornerback went over to Oregon. They lost 3 of their top 5 receivers. They lost their top 6 defensive players. They plan on starting the year with 2 quarterbacks, sophomore Brandon Lewis, who started every game last year, and then junior JT Shrout. Last year's offense was the worst in school history. We're talking 50-plus years, 18.8 points per game. They picked up just 257.6 yards per game. And the Horned Frogs defense that was so bad last year is expected to see some improvement. They have senior linebacker D. Winters kind of running that defense. Take it away for us, Bobano. This is the final game that we'll be breaking down before baseball. TCU, Colorado.
Yeah, this is really shitty for everybody watching, because everything I like, pretty much, and the majority of bets I've made on this Friday night college football card, and you're getting a much the worst line now, and that's the case here with the over, which this is my favorite total on the board tonight. And this opened as low as what, 54.5, and it's 58.5 I'm seeing right now. I will make this official. I don't know if it's gone up enough to the point where I feel uncomfortable. I will lock it in as official at 58.5. What do we like with totals early in the season? We like to target teams in terms of unders that go from up tempo to slowing it down, and vice versa. Target teams for overs that go from slowing it down to up tempo. And that's going to be TCU under Sonny Dykes. I mean, this is a team that's really going to go fast. We know Sonny Dykes at SMU. That was always one of the teams that, in terms of plays per game, tempo, they'd be a top 20 team in the country. You're going to see that from TCU with both quarterbacks. It looks like both are going to play here tonight for them. Max Duggan and the Oklahoma transfer, Chandler Morris. So you're going to see both of those quarterbacks tonight. I actually think TCU offensively, when you look at it this year, they could be excellent. All right, 86% of their returning production is back on offense. That's number 6 in the country in terms of offensive returning production. They've got a lot of playmakers, and I'm looking forward to seeing them this year. Duggan and Morris, great quarterbacks. Love the receiving core. Really do. I mean, they've got Quentin Johnson, Tay Barber. Both of these guys are going to be outstanding for them, I think, down the field in the passing game. They've got Amani Bailey at running back. They've got a Florida State transfer, Corey Wren, as well. So they've got playmakers. They've got a good offensive line. They've got a lot of those starters back. Even though they're going with 2 quarterbacks tonight, Sonny Dykes, with Morris and with Duggan, I think they're going to put up big points. Colorado's defense is in a world of hurt. You spelled it out in your breakdown, Jimmy, about Colorado. I mean, 101st in the country returning defensive production. It was a defense that was horrible last year as well. They've got, they replaced Tyson Summers with the new defensive coordinator, Chris Wilson. Only 3 front 7 starters are back. 3 on the entire defensive front are back for Colorado this year. So that's definitely a concern for me coming into this game against this up-tempo TCU offense. And you know what's concerning too, and why I like the over as well? If it's going to be a shaky defense, if it's going to lack experience, if it's going to be weak, and it's going to be poor like it was last year, Colorado on defense, especially early. Not saying they can't be better later in the year, but I think they're going to struggle early. You got to face a team that plans to run tempo and a fast-paced offense like TCU. Not only are you putting a bad defense out on the field, you're maybe putting them on the field a lot tonight. You could be seeing them on the field a lot, and you're going to have a bad defense in the second half wearing down, and that's when the points are really going to pile up, potentially. So I think TCU is going to put a big number on the board. But I think Colorado can move it too, because TCU's weakness last year was defense. And I think it's going to take some time before we see the Horned Frogs defense, really improve. It's going to take time. You don't have the numbers you did against the run, against the pass, giving up explosive plays like TCU's defense did all of last year. I don't know if you turn that around right away in game 1. So Colorado's offense, this is where the over gets tricky, because Colorado's offense was horrible last year, but TCU's defense was equally horrible last year. So who's going to win that battle? What I do like is that this head coach here, Carl Durrell for Colorado, is actually going to give JT Shrout a fair chance to be the quarterback. It better be him long term, because Brendan Lewis just was awful. Not good at all. So I like that he's going to give both quarterbacks a look, and I think because of that, it's going to keep TCU's defense a little off balance. You got a plan for Lewis. You got a plan for Shrout. I think there's going to be different plays in the playbook for both of those quarterbacks tonight, and I think at least that's going to allow Colorado, especially at home, Folsom Field, Friday night in Boulder, to at least have some success offensively. Punch in maybe 17, 21 points at least in this game. And I think TCU will take care of the rest. So even at the number going up to 58.5, I like over the total. I would only lay the points with TCU, but I'm not going to lay 14 when that number was 8.5 at one point.
I got you the over 58 at -112. What do you think about the Colorado Buffaloes under 21.5 team total? Are you too worried about
I'm too worried about TCU's defense, which was horrible last year, and so was Colorado's offense. So let's not make it sound like Colorado's offense was good. It was equally as bad, like I said, as TCU's defense. But the 2 quarterback plan for Durrell with Lewis and with Shrout, I think, has the potential to, some trick plays. They might even run both quarterbacks out there on the field on the same play. I've seen that done before. Little things, little gimmicks in the offense, wrinkles in the playbook that could throw this defense for a loop. You know what I mean? That would be the one concern. And I think Colorado might be more apt to try that because everybody thinks and knows and believes they're going to suck this year. Everybody thinks they're going to be the worst team in the Pac-12 by far. You got nothing to lose. You empty out the cupboard. You throw everything but the kitchen sink at the other team defensively, and you might see that from Colorado. So that's why I'd be a little concerned about Colorado under the team total.
Great breakdown. And if you were going team total wise with TCU, question from the chat, would you rather take TCU first half over 20.5 or full game 37.5?
That's a tough call because this is a team that they're going to play fast. And a lot of times you're going to see that team wear down the other team in the second half. This could be like Missouri last night, where maybe Missouri early in the game, they don't quite get their offense totally in sync. And then in the second half, Louisiana Tech could not stop Missouri in the second half. They wore down Louisiana Tech's defensive front. I think that could happen in the second half for Colorado tonight. So for that reason, especially in the altitude, remember that factor. Keep that in mind in Boulder. Defenses are really going to get gassed, really going to get tired when you're playing in that kind of environment as well. So for that reason, I'd probably gravitate more toward the TCU full game team total instead of the first half team total.
I love it. Bobano coming off an 8-0 day to start his season. He's starting his account. We have his account going from last week, actually. So, but this is his week 1 action. He's on Michigan State minus 21. I'm going to jump on that as well. I want Michigan State. I want Western Michigan team total under. Some 16.5, some 14.5. Virginia Tech Old Dominion. I moved on ODU. Ronnie. I'm a Ricky Ronnie fan, and I just think this team's going to get better and better and better as he is at the helm. And I got a poor line here, 3.5 and 6. Then Temple plus 9.5 for Bobano. Very strange with all the money coming in. They have 75% of the cash right now on Temple, and yet it's moved 2 or 3 points since then. Jacqueline Martin, just hit me on Twitter. Let me know your Twitter handle so I can follow you, so then we can DM and we can talk about that. But yeah, we're always looking for new voices here at Pub Sports Radio, and we're proud of that. Illinois fighting Illini and Indiana Hoosiers. We've stayed off, but Illinois, it's gone from 5.5 to 1.5. And then Bobano's on the over 58 in TCU, Colorado, and I'm looking at that Colorado team total under. Okay, let's move on to MLB. MLB still sitting just barely, actually not barely, up double-digit units plus 10.76 units, 276 and 235. ROI plus 2.14%, 1-1 yesterday, down 0.15 units. God, these fucking Jets are pissing me off. I hope they're not bothering you guys. Let's get to work right now, and we start with Alek Manoah, the bully in PNC Park in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Blue Jays 70 and 59, 11 games over 500, hanging on to a wild card spot, but the Orioles are in reach. 32 and 30 on the road are the Blue Jays, going up against the Pirates, 49 and 81, but 26 and 36 at home. Okay, good. Matt Ballin says I don't even hear him. Perfect. Alek Manoah going up against Johan Oviedo, and it's a bullpen day for these Pittsburgh Pirates. Let's go into the line moves and also the weather. I got to pull up the weather. We'll talk about the line history. I'll pull up the weather when Bobano is talking. First off, there's been a 10-cent move towards the Pittsburgh Pirates, and from a total perspective, it opened up minus 115 to the under. Now it's minus 111 to the under. So a 4-cent move to the over. Let's take a look and see if the cash flow follows suit there. We have in MLB, let's move over, and no teams with any full line value. There's 2 teams with half. That's it. And one of them has Keuchel as the starting pitcher. Wild. Here we go. Toronto Blue Jays, Pittsburgh Pirates, 5,737 tickets in. 82% of tickets, 85% of the cash on the Jays, and a 10-cent move towards the Pirates. Red flag situation. Then 24% of tickets on the under. 94% of cash, though, is on the under. Manoah's last start was very nice. It was at home versus the Angels. 7 innings for it, 1 earned run, 8 Ks, 2 walks. It was a 2-0 loss. Got no help. 2.60 ERA, 1.03 whip on the season. He's been excellent. 155 and 2/3. He just keeps rolling. On the road, his splits are fine. He's even a little bit better on the road. 6-3, 2.55 ERA, 228 opponents batting average. Johan Oviedo's been good. He's only going to be in there for an inning, but he's been good for them. 26 strikeouts, 7 walks, over 25 in the third. The last 30 days, the Blue Jays are now hitting 241, 682 OPS. For the Pirates, they're 224, 632 OPS. Bo Jackson says, what happens when Manoah comes out of the game? I know that we don't trust the Blue Jays bullpen, Bo, you and I, but their numbers are okay. Over the last 30 days, 3.19 ERA, 1.28 whip, while the Pirates are 4.73 ERA, 1.40 whip. I have made 3 bets on the MLB card. They come later in the program. Take it away for us here, Bobano, Blue Jays, Pirates.
Yeah, this is obviously we expect the Jays to win here, but the question is, do you want to endorse them in any way? What is the pricing here? Minus 230. I mean, how do you flesh out value? Even the first half is expensive. The full game run line's expensive here on the Blue Jays, and I don't know if I want to fade the Pirates in this price range. Keep in mind, they were competitive 2 of the 3 games against Milwaukee on the road just this past series that they had. It does favor the Jays, and Manoah here in this situation. He allowed just 1 extra base hit the last start against the Angels. He was absolutely dominant in that incredible duel between him and Shohei Ohtani. That was definitely a lot of fun to watch. Only gave up a run on 4 hits in 7 innings. And that's now really 2 starts in a row for Alek Manoah, where he's looked like he's back in his, April-May form again. Just 2 earned runs in the last 13 innings against the Angels and the Yankees. So I think there's a chance he ends up pitching very well here once again tonight. Johan Oviedo here for Pittsburgh, 3.20 ERA for him this season, down with St. Louis, but now here with the Pittsburgh Pirates. This is his first start with the Pirates, called up from AAA. See how he handles it here. I definitely lean to the full game run line. I don't mind putting Jay's bullpen in the full game run line right now because, like I said, they've played better. They had a day off yesterday. Keep that in mind. After the Cubs series, travel day yesterday, all the key relievers are all hands on deck tonight. So if you need Bass, if you need Simber, if you need Romano, all the key relievers, the best relievers are available for the Blue Jays tonight. So nothing official yet. Maybe it changes at the end of the show, but for now, we'll lean full game run line Toronto.
Yeah, it's expensive. It's about minus 138 or minus 139, depending on where you shop. Control your best.
I actually might bust out a parlay before the end of this. And I hate parlays. I hate them with every fiber of my being. But if I find 2 favorites I really want to bet but hate the prices, I might do that with a couple of these favorites on this card. We'll see.
We'll be back in action with the friends and family parlay.
Yeah.
Here we didn't have one yesterday, so we'll be back in action with that.
That's what I did the other night, Jimmy, with the Cardinals and the Braves. And the Braves only won by 1 run. Mm-hmm. And the parlay cashed. So that's the nice thing about, swinging the parlays with a couple of these big favorites. I would only do 2-team parlays, though. 3, 4, 5, you're getting dicey at that point if you extend it. But I think you can live with doing a 2-team parlay this time of year, especially when you're trying to knock down 2 big favorites.
All right, that is Blue Jays, Pirates. And it is the day off that the Jays had that will take me off of the under. There's a chance that the Blue Jays did need that day off. And interesting from Razor saying that Manoah was at the brawl last night. So he was at West Virginia, Pittsburgh. See if that has anything to do with it. Good says take the over, Jimmy, and thank me later. Good for me here. I do kind of like the over, but I have a real bad ROI on teams with bad bullpens having bullpen days and thinking that they're going to get lit up. And it's just been something that's existed with me since the bullpen days became in fashion. And so I stay away from a team with a 4.73 ERA, 1.40 whip over the last 30 days. I'm like, well, that bullpen's going to get touched. It just doesn't work for me that way. So, as we improve in our capping, and that's what we're trying to do every day, the key is don't keep making the same mistakes. And that's just a mistake that I've made, and my ROI is real bad. So I'm just going to stay off of that spot. Razor Sharp Picks likes the under in this spot. Jays, Pirates. Well, I do kind of like the Pirates team total under, but I'm not going to ever take big dogs team total unders unless I'm certain that not only will the starting pitching shut them down, but the bullpen as well. Let's move on to 6:40 p.m. Eastern. But I did want to talk about the weather. My bad. I said I was going to bring it up. So let's just touch on what that weather is here. And then we'll use the weather as we move forward, because the next spot on the board is Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. The weather in Pittsburgh, 85 Fahrenheit, nice, 4.9 miles per hour in, dies down to 4.5. Let's move on to the Cincinnati spot, 86 Fahrenheit in Cincinnati, 4 miles per hour in, dies down to 3.2 miles per hour in. Rand says Jays haven't been hitting. They certainly have not been hitting, but the day off can help sometimes, especially with young squads. Let's talk Rockies, Reds. Rockies, 20 games under 500, 24 games under 500 on the road. Reds, 51-78, 27-38 at home at Great American Ballpark, Cincinnati, Ohio. Kyle Freeland going up against Luis Cessa. Let's take a look at the line history. In this one, we have these Reds opening up as a slight favorite at minus 107. They're now minus 116, so a 9-cent move to the Reds. This total opened up at 9.5 and has dropped to 9, although it is quite juiced to the over, so it could come back to 9.5. No, Mike, Jose's with us. Man, Jose's going to have a say-hey play today. Don't worry, he's ready to rock. Let's get a quick look at him, just so you know that he's here. He's healthy. Look at him.
We're alive. We're here. I'll be here for Boston, Texas, because I have a feeling the Red Sox are going to break my soul today.
There it is. There's a little piece of. I think that the Ball State game hurt him. I wasn't watching that one. It wasn't the one I was watching, and so when he sent me a text message, he said Ball State.
That was ugly. That was men against boys in that game.
On the first play, I thought he meant that his buddy's defense stepped up and got a pick. So I said that I loved it. I didn't know that I was,
My friend got shown on the TV yesterday, and all of us proceeded to make fun of him because he's balding at age 25, and it was very funny. But I'd also be balding if my defense gave up like 60 points in 2 minutes. So it's whatever. It's whatever.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about the cash flow in this one. Rockies, Reds, Colorado, Cincinnati. Just 2,900 tickets in. 58% of tickets, 88% of cash on Cincinnati. Market moving towards them makes sense. 48% of tickets, 51% cash on the over. So not much there. Freeland, last start, 3-0 loss at the Mets. He looked okay. Now, the Mets don't hit lefties that hard, but 5 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 homer, 2 Ks, 1 walk. On the road, he's been much better than he's been at home. 3-5, 3.62 ERA, 244 opponent's batting average. Do you want to trust the Reds and Luis Cessa, who has been in the bullpen for most of the year, who's not really stretched out? 4 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, solo shot, 1 K, 1 no walks, and a 6-2 win at Washington. Rockies versus righties, 245, 633 OPS last 30. They're just not hitting them at all. And the Reds are hitting lefties, 247, 719 OPS. Rockies bullpen, 4.41 ERA, 1.33 whip. Reds bullpen, 3.32 ERA, 1.29 whip. Being really good now for more than a month. Take it away here, Bobano. Rockies, Reds.
Yeah, this one's a tricky one. I don't really trust either team. I mean, Colorado on the road, I certainly don't love the idea of backing them. Do I love the idea of backing Cincinnati and Cessa as a small favorite? No, Cessa's not the kind of pitcher that, I'm trusting it with his numbers. 5.36 ERA, 8 ERA this year at Great American Ballpark, which is just absolutely dismal. So, but again, Kyle Freeland has actually pitched okay 2 of his last 3 starts, but he's had some rough ones in there. Both of them in Colorado. Does actually have better numbers on the road, but still the Rockies are just 5-7 in his 12 road starts. Maybe if you can trust them here, a Rockies team total, but it's 4.5, and you just see too many times this team just doesn't hit much on the road. So pass for me.
It's a pass for me as well. This does not interest me at all. This is a huge card. Many, many opportunities for us. So let's just roll on. Next up, 7:05 p.m. Eastern, Oakland Athletics, 49-83, 27-40 on the road at the Baltimore Orioles, 69-61, 37-24 at home. We're at Camden Yards in Baltimore, Maryland. Charm City, home of the Von Polo family. 82 Fahrenheit, 6.5 miles per hour, right to left, right across the diamond, gets up to 8.2 miles per hour. Let's move over to the line history in this one. Baltimore, right in the rearview mirror of these Toronto Blue Jays, and Baltimore's playing good baseball, better baseball than the Jays right now. There's been a 2-cent move to the Oakland A's. 2-cent move to the A's, and this total has gone from 8 down to 7.5. 8 down to 7.5. Let's take a look at the cash flow. Joe Yurkovich on the full game under 8 at minus 105. Nice job. Stella Girl, by the way, says I'm the Rockies guy here, and I'm even staying off the game. Top set says boom under, and Danny Lopez looking at the Nerfy for this one. We have so there's, as I said, there's two teams with half line value. One of them is the Oakland A's and JP Sears, and 80% of the tickets, 76% of cash on Baltimore, and you have this slight market move. Well, I mean, just 2 cents, but the fact that the market isn't moving towards the Orioles is a big statement. 67% of tickets on the under. We don't have cash on that total, so no cash there. JP Sears last start, 6 innings, 8 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 homer, 3 Ks, 4 walks, and that 3-2 loss at home versus the Yankees. 2.28 ERA, 1.11 whip. He's been very good this year. Just 3 home runs allowed in 43 and a third. Going up against Dean Kramer, who has also been good. 62 Ks, 18 walks, and 83 and a third. He's only allowed 7 home runs. Last start, a win at Houston. And he looked very good at Houston. 7 2/3, 4 hits, 1 earned run, no homers, 3 Ks, no walks. At home, 2-2, 3.16 ERA, 254 opponents batting average. These A's are hitting just 221, 648 OPS versus righties. The O's 244, 796 versus lefties. They're hitting lefties hard. A's bullpen has started to struggle again. 4.41 ERA, 1.33 whip over the last 30 days. And the O's bullpen 3.65 ERA, 1.27 whip. Take it away for us, Bobano. A's, Orioles.
First 5 under. Let's make that official. First 5 under. Let's do it. Yeah, first 5 under for me in this one, which is 4 at even money, plus 100. It looks like something like that. Looks like what we can get. Yeah, I mean, I want to take the bullpens a little bit out of it, especially Oakland. And Oakland's bullpen worked a lot against Washington and didn't work particularly well in that series. Obviously, blowing the game yesterday was just horrendous, and they used a lot of their key relievers. So I think the first 5 is the better option here with this under 4 in the first 5. Look, Kramer's been an under machine at Camden Yards, 6-1 to the under in his 7 home starts. He has a solid ERA there, 3.16, 1.8 in his last 3 starts. And look, Kramer, I'm shocked he's kept it going. I honestly am. I thought he was going to fall apart at some point. He was looking like in July with those 2 starts against the Yankees and the Reds where he gave up 10 runs in 10 innings. He looked like, hey, Dean Kramer, the guy we know that isn't that good, starting to show up. But he's turned it around, and he's done it against Toronto, Boston, Houston. What a performance last start against Houston. And now you're facing this Oakland team. If you're shutting down, Blue Jays, Red Sox, and Astros, you should shut down Oakland. Oakland had a little spurt there for a bit where they were starting to hit again, but they couldn't hit Espino. They couldn't hit a couple of these weaker Washington pitchers, and that's troubling going into this series. But you're right about JP Sears. He's pitched well, 2.28 ERA, 2.31 ERA on the road. He's 4-2 to the under in his 6 starts, 2.25 ERA last 3. So you add up the numbers, it looks like runs are going to be at a premium early. So we'll go with the under in the first 5.
I can get you that at plus 108 at Pinnacle.
Yeah, excellent.
Big plus line. That 4.5 is minus 123. So we're going to do the locked and loaded is on the under 8 in this one. Yeah, that all makes sense. It all makes sense. I'm a little surprised that I'm more than a little surprised that the 7.5 would be hanging a 4 at such a big plus line. Top set says still think Baltimore is the play. And we have a double at Gulfstream from our razor sharp picks. Starting in race 2, 14 minutes to post. We have 5-7 towards the deuce in the race 3. Little $25 double from razor sharp picks. Eric Jones also on the under here in this one. We've seen it go from 8 to 7.5, and we have, we don't know the cash flow on the total, but 67% of tickets on the under. Okay, let's move on. Bobano on the first 5 under at plus 108. 7:10 p.m. Eastern. Kansas City Royals at the Detroit Tigers. These Royals 53-79, 21-42 on the road at the Tigers, 15-81, 29-38 at home at Comerica Park, Detroit, Michigan. We'll start with the weather at Comerica. What a great stadium they have down there.
We're going to Comerica. There you go.
I love it.
Detroit.
I love that. I love that stadium. I love going down there. I love, $25. You're on the third baseline. The value is beautiful. 82 Fahrenheit, 7.5 miles per hour in, dies down to 6.6. So not offensive weather. We'll take a look at the line history next up in this Tiger spot. Lynch and Hutchison, 2 vulnerable pitchers on the bump. We have a 6-cent move to the Kansas City Royals. From a total perspective, it opened up at 7.5. How long did it last? It actually got up to 8.5. Wow. It lasted So this opened up at 7.5 and lasted for 2 minutes. 2 minutes at Pinnacle before it went to 8 and then 8.5. Since then, it's come back down to 8, but this 8's at minus 116. So there's an expectation that this will move to 8.5. So slight move to the Royals, big move to the over. Let's see if that correlates with the cash flow here. We have line value, slight line value on Lynch. I'd say it's about like a 15% line value. 4,009 tickets in. 46% of the tickets, 53% of the cash on the Royals. Then 42% of tickets, 64% of the cash on the over. So the public actually on the under here. Wild. Lynch, 4.9, 4.70 ERA, 1.54 whip, 97 Ks and 103 in the third. Last start, he allowed 4 earned runs in 5 innings and the 4-3 loss at home to the Padres. He's been better on the road than he has been at home. 4 ERA, 2.267 opponent's batting average. Drew Hutchinson, 4.01 ERA, but 1.43 whip. Still a K walk issue, 48 Ks to 33 walks. Last start was good. They lose 9-8 at Texas, but it wasn't on him. He went 5 in the third, allowed 2 earned runs. They were both solo shots. At home, he's been a little worse than he's been on the road. 1-6, 4.35 ERA, 293 opponent's batting average. Joe Yurkovich says Detroit's most favorable position versus a lefty at home. Now, over the last 30 days, they have a decent batting average against lefties, 252, but just a 603 OPS, no power at all. Royals versus righties, 229, 662 OPS over the last 30, and these bullpens are just atrocious of late. Royals bullpen, 6.05 ERA, 1.59 whip over the last 30, while the Tigers bullpen, 5.18 ERA, 1.42 whip. Locked and loaded says Tigers should roll. Christopher Comentini says Tigers lifeless. Take it away for us here, Bobano, Royals, Tigers.
Yeah, Tigers lifeless, but Seattle made them that way. Seattle's, obviously having a nice season, could finally break their long playoff drought. You are taking a big step down in class here tonight against the Kansas City Royals. We'll see if they're able to handle it here, but it's a tricky game overall. I don't know if I could take Detroit, though, at this price. I know Hutchinson's been good, and we know Detroit has been hitting lefties better. Lynch does actually have better numbers on the road. So this is just a game I went back and forth with. I lean Detroit. I lean to probably a first 5 under, but I'm not going to get there either way.
Yeah, this is uncomfortable. I can understand why you would bet the over. 7.5 is a nice number against these vulnerable bullpens.
And it's a pick 'em too. I mean, it's just,
yeah.
Tough game. Stay away.
I'm going to stay away as well, but I can understand. I can understand the over. I can understand trusting these pitchers first 5, but these bullpens are so bad.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. 7:10 p.m. Eastern. New York Yankees 79-52, 34-32 on the road at the Tampa Bay Rays. Now 72-57. Don't look now, because Rays, who have been just destroyed with injuries, are 6 games back of the New York Yankees and are 19 games over 500 at home. We're at Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Florida. We have Domingo Germán going up against Jeffrey Springs, the lefty. Let's see what we are dealing with from a line history perspective. This opened at minus 120. There's been a 6-cent move to the Rays, now at minus 126. From a total perspective, it opened up at 7, juice to the over. It's now 5 cents more, juice to the over. So it looks like a 7.5 will be appearing at Pinnacle and appearing at other books. Eric Jones already on that under 7.5. Let's take a look at the cash flow at Rays, Yankees, Tampa, New York, and see what we are dealing with. 5,459 tickets in. 53% of the tickets and 85% of the cash on the Yankees. Yet there's a 6-cent move to the Rays. Confusing. 42% of tickets on the over, 57% of cash on that over. Germán coming off a beautiful start, 3-2 extra inning loss at Oakland, but he went 7 2/3, did not allow a run. 5 Ks, no walks, 3.19 ERA, 1.11 whip, only 42 1/3 this year under his belt. Didn't start until late due to injuries. Jeffrey Springs, last start was ugly. 5-1 loss at Boston, 6 innings, 8 hits, 5 earned runs, 1 homer, 8 Ks, 1 walk. But he's been so good at home this year. That happened in Boston. At home, he has a 2.18 ERA, and opponents are earning 2.29 against him. Yankees versus lefties, 231, 686 OPS last 30. They don't hit him, but Rays are starting to hit. 255, 751 OPS versus righties. I don't remember them having that good of a number versus righties all year. Yankees bullpen, 3.29 ERA, 1.22 whip, while the Rays bullpen being good all year. 3 ERA, 1.12 whip. And Dommy Gun is locked in. The Tigers under 8.5, Tampa under 7.5, and the Oakland first 5 at plus 140. Let's see what Bobano's going to do with this spot at Tropicana Field, the Yankees-Rays.
Rays and the under. Side and total for me here. I like Tampa. I'm fading the Yankees every chance I get, and a reasonable price. You give me something that's an underdog price. You give me something that's a short favorite. I'm interested betting against the Yankees right now, and so I like Tampa Bay. I'm just going to go full game here with Tampa, and full game with the under as well, because you can get the 7.5. I'd rather do that rather than the first 5, which is 3.5. I'd rather have the 7.5 in my pocket with 2 solid bullpen. I know the Yankee bullpen's not been nearly as good this year, but Tampa Bay's bullpen is still very capable. So under for me, 7.5. I mean, how do you argue with Jeff Springs at home? I mean, he's just been terrific here at the Trop. 2.18 ERA for Jeffrey Springs coming into this outing tonight for the Tampa Bay Rays. Pitched his best baseball here all season long at home. How about 6-0 to the under for Jeffrey Springs in his 6 home starts this year at Tropicana Field as well? Perfect 6-0 to the under with Springs on the mound here at the Trop. Domingo Germán's been excellent. 1.93 ERA last 3 starts. He's been great. He's given up just a grand total of his last 7 starts, rather, going back to July 27th. They've been great. He's given up just a grand total of 11 runs over a span of, you're looking at 11 runs over a span of like 38 innings for Domingo Germán. So he's been very good in this one. So, yeah, this one looks like it's going to be probably lower scoring pitcher's duel. So we'll go with the under. We'll go with Tampa. Like I said, I took the Angels every game against the Yankees on that West Coast series there out in Angel Stadium. And, of course, Angels won 2 of 3. Back on the fade Yankees train tonight.
Rays minus 121. If there wasn't this reverse line movement, I'd be right there with you. I'm not going to hear. Joe, you're saying Germán's last 3 versus Rays not good. Billy Friedrich says he's on an island in this one, taking the over 7.5 and even money. Small sample size, but both starters have been touched by the other team this season. All right.
That's true, but I think they were a long time ago, those starts for Germán against the Rays, not in his recent form. So that's the tricky part, right? I mean, he does have bad numbers against the Rays. When did they occur? One occurred in August. I guess that's pretty recent. Yeah, 3 runs. That wasn't great. But everything else was 2021 and before that, for Domingo Germán. I mean, and that was his roughest start, during this great run he's had, was that starting. And that was at Yankee Stadium, right? That was not at Tropicana Field, which is, definitely more of a pitcher-friendly park. So, yeah, I know the long-term history for him against the Rays is a little rough for Germán, but there's nothing rough about his current form. And I always say I value current form above all else.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. You are locked in on both spots. We did find you a full game at minus 121. That was available at Circuits, minus 126 over at Pinnacle. And we move on to Mariners Guardians is next up. This one's nice. Castillo, Plesac. Interesting. Initially, I was like, man, you got to look at the under immediately because Plesac's at home. Castillo's been good. But there was a market move now, 6 cents to the over, but it was more than that earlier. In fact, it was 17 cents at 1 in the morning. So a big move to the over. Let's take a look at the money line here in this one. You have an 11-cent move to the Mariners. 11 cents to the Mariners. North Ender says is the public is on the Yanks and the line moved to the Yanks is the question. And the answer is no. It's a coin flip. 53% of the tickets, 86% of the cash is on the Yankees, and the market moved towards the Rays. So the big bets come in on the Yankees, and the markets move towards the Rays. Dommy Gunrici says Cleveland is an under machine. Eric Jones says Seattle here. Dommy leaning towards the under. Space Guard Ghostman says Luis Castillo gets no run support. So we talked about the move towards the over and to the Mariners. Let's go. And Razor Sharp Picks is on Tampa today. Let's take a look at the. Yeah, it does feel like if the big bets are on the Yankees. Sometimes I have to say these things over and over again just so I understand them completely, even though I get them. I just, we're going through so many things so quickly. 53% of tickets, 86% of the cash on the Yankees, and you have this market move towards the Rays. I do find that appealing. I do think that the Rays are going to keep winning. And I do think that the Rays should be on my card. Rays.
I think we're getting Rays on the card. There you go.
Yeah, I think that just makes a ton of sense here. All right, let's see.
I'm not overthinking it. Let's just fade the Yankees right now. They're back to that lethargic play again.
I love it. North Ender says, yeah, I don't get why that scares you off of Tampa. Yeah, maybe I said that wrong. There was so many games to cap, and then we're all watching football last night, so it was a really it was a real late night. And
thank goodness I was watching football, because if I had been watching that Texas debacle, I would have been apoplectic. That was horrible. Thank God I had the team total as well.
Yeah, and that stopped Gun from sweeping the board as well. Okay, so let's take a look at the cash action in Cleveland, Seattle. 6,809 tickets in. 81% of the tickets and 98% of the cash on Seattle. There's been an 11-cent move towards them. Is that enough, do you think, if there's 98% of cash on the Mariners? 47% of tickets and 70% of cash on the over, which is a surprise. It is a surprise. Yeah, thank you, North Ender. Thank you for that. And also seeing Razor on it, too. Moneyline Mills says Tampa Bay Rays, Moneyline Seattle Mariners money. That's all I'm doing today. That's from our guy Moneyline Mills. Okay, here we go. Luis Castillo, 5-5, 2.85 ERA, 1.07 WHIP, over 116 and 2/3. His last start, 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run. It was a solo shot, 10 Ks, 1 walk, and a 4-3 loss at home to the Guardians. Plesac has been getting better as the season's gone on. His last start was up against Castillo and the Guardians. Up against Castillo and the Mariners. It was a 4-3 win at Seattle, and Plesac, 7 innings, 3 hits, 3 earned runs. They were all solo shots, 6 Ks and no walks. At home, he's got a 3.81 ERA, but a 288 opponent's batting average. Mariners are not hitting righties, 218, 683 OPS. The Guardians are worse, 229, 618 OPS. But both bullpens have been absolutely lights out, which leads you to the first question. Why is it leaning towards the over? And I guess the only answer you could have is because they just saw the opposition 5 days ago, and there's an expectation that they'll get touched after this. Take it away for us here, Bobano, Mariners, Guardians.
So the more I've tracked that and followed that little angle, the same two pitchers facing the same two teams 5 days later or a week later, I find more and more it's a 50-50 coin flip. Some games that if they pitched well the first time, they're going to get lit up the next time, and sometimes they pitch well again. I really don't think there's that big sample size or that big noticeable, those pitchers stink the second time when they were good the first time, or vice versa when they're facing the same team in a week. So I just really look more toward the overall current form of both pitchers right now. I do like the way both of them are trending. I could make a case for the under, but I can't do it. I can't pull the trigger on the under here with the way Seattle's mashing the ball right now. They really are hitting at the moment, this Mariners lineup. They're doing a great job offensively. They put up big numbers the last 4 games, especially that Detroit series. Now, Detroit's pitching had something to do with that. Probably face a little more resistance from Zach Plesac. I've been waiting for Zach Plesac to get better. And finally, it looks like he is. His uncle is Dan Plesac, who's a longtime major league pitcher. So if he's ever in times of strife, he should be able to turn to say, "Hey, Uncle Dan, what can you say? What advice, what tips can you give me? How can you help me out here? What do I need to do to turn things around?" And maybe he did that. Maybe he sought out his uncle, got some advice. Maybe you got to do this. You got to stand this way on the mound. You got to, get the grip on the baseball this way, whatever. The little intricacies of pitching. Maybe Dan Plesac helped him out with that, because he has pitched better lately for the Cleveland Guardians. And I don't want to lay this kind of price right now against him, Plesac, with how he's pitched better. And his home numbers are actually pretty solid. He's got a 3+ ERA at home, which isn't bad. So I ain't stepping in front of Seattle. I took Seattle all series against Detroit, and it paid off. But here's the issue. You had Seattle laying $1.50 in this price range in a couple games against Detroit, and now they're laying the same price against a much better Cleveland team. So I don't think the value is as good. So I'm going to pass on this one. Yeah, I'm going to pass too. I'm a little curious. Let's just see what the market move has been at Bet365. Why don't we just take a quick look here? Because an 11-cent move when 98% of the cash is on it, it's not. Doesn't correlate. Yeah. It's not enough. But let's just see what Bet365 has done, and then we can decide what to do here ourselves. Let's get this up here. And here we go. Get the line history. Here we go. So
And FanDuel, let's go with FanDuel. FanDuel has moved 2 cents to the Mariners. 2 cents. Bet 365 has moved 15 cents. BetMGM has moved 5 cents. It's fishy. There's Dabby Cab in the house. Great job in NCAA football yesterday, Dabby Cab. Don't forget Illinois, Indiana, right here on Pub Sports Radio tonight. Tomorrow night, Notre Dame, Ohio State, right here on Pub Sports Radio.
I'll be on tonight as well. Shout out to Moose Money and Dabby Cab. I'll be on the stream first half, so come in to see some debauchery as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you don't seem like you're high energy at the moment.
I am not. No,
I
am not. No.
But maybe the Boston Red Sox will bring that high energy to the game. We had TJ. He said just jumping in to drop off a gift. Texas-Boston over 9. 8-1. So he'd won 8 in a row before the last one missed. Rangers 58-72, 30-34 on the road. They've been bad at home, good, or I guess average on the road. Boston Red Sox 64-68, 32-34 at home. We're at Fenway Park in Boston. Let's see what we're dealing with from weather. 67 Fahrenheit, 6.7 miles per hour, right to left across the diamond. We'll move over to the line history in this Red Sox Rangers spot. And as you could have guessed, there has been a move towards Pavetta, but it's only 6 cents. That's it. From a total perspective, it opened at 10 and went down to 9. That's nuts. With these two pitchers on the hill. So it opened at 10 and went down to 9. Then you have half line value. Actually, a little over half on Dallas Keuchel and the Texas Rangers. 15% of the tickets, 24% of the cash. Then you have 80% of the tickets and 93% of the cash on the over, and it goes down to 9. I mean, that's just fucking nuts. Dallas Keuchel with an 8.84 ERA and a 2.05 whip. 11 home runs, allowed in 56 innings. First start with the Rangers, he gets destroyed at home. 11 hits, 7 earned runs, and they go back to him. Slick Nick Pivetta on the other side, getting touched up in his last start. 12-4 loss home to the Rays. 5 innings, 5 hit, earned runs, 2 homers. At home, he's been worse than he's been on the road. 4.83 ERA, 270 opponent's batting average. Rangers versus righties, 252, 713 OPS last 30. Red Sox, 291, 778 OPS. They're raking. Rangers bullpen, 3.83 ERA, 1.27 whip, while the Red Sox bullpen, unbelievably bad over the last 30, 6.37 ERA, 1.61 whip. Space Guard Ghostman says Dallas Keuchel is still in his honeymoon phase with Kelly Nash. Mike M says Dallas Keuchel on his third team this season. He's got to have one last gem in him. You know, this is nuts that all the money would be on the over and they drop it a full run. Now, they couldn't be that confident because they probably back a half run. But this market, and we have a Say Hey play today right now from our Jose Zineta lamb chop 1-hole bouquet. Jose, take it away. Rangers Red Sox.
I don't know if it's a Say Hey play. It's more of a Say Hey discussion and just a Say Hey, like, what the fuck? I don't understand what this line movement and market movement is. I mean, obviously, I thought the easiest play of the day was going to be Red Sox team total here. Right now, you can get a 5 at -115. I'm going to make it official here, but if Dallas Keuchel makes the Red Sox look silly tonight, that might be the straw that breaks me officially.
This is so strange. Look at Billy Frieder. Dallas Keuchel's last 5 starts combined 24 innings, 29 runs, 27 earned, 19 Ks, 8 walks. Billy Frieder says, how about first half and full game over? I don't want anything to do with it. Nothing to do with it. Why would the books have dropped it to 9 if over 90% of the money was coming on the over? Let's see what Bobano has to say about this spot. Keuchel, Pivetta, Rangers, Red Sox.
Yeah, I'm going to just keep it simple. Over 9 -120 and rely on Boston will probably do most of the damage, I would think, but I don't give 2 shits about the line, total drop in a full run. Not 2 shits do I care about that. So I think, I mean, I'm just going off what I see, and Dallas Keuchel's got absolutely zip. Nothing in the tank, nothing left. 29 runs in 24 innings is an absolute disgrace. I can't even believe Texas is trotting this fucker out on the mound every 5 days again. It's just shocking at this point that this guy's still in a major league rotation. Texas, I think, can hit Pivetta enough. Pavetta's gone downward the last few starts, and I still like this Texas lineup a little bit. They've been hitting decently, and of course, last night they got all the runs they needed, and before the bullpen melted down and blew it late. So the fact that they're offering up a 9 in this game, maybe I am walking into something, but I've been on Keuchel overs every time he's been out on the mound. We ain't stopping now, especially a 9 at Fenway, and Pavetta's struggling too to boot. On top of that. So, yeah, over 9 for me.
Over 9. And a question about the weather. 67 Fahrenheit, 6.7 miles per hour right to left, slightly in. Dies down to 6. That is the weather. All right. Bobano over 9. Jose Bouquet. All one hole. Are you making a move here?
Sox team total. 5 minus 150.
And I get it fading Keuchel, but I still can't lay minus 180 with Boston, even though I think you got to go team total if you're going to do anything on the Boston side.
Yeah, I have not bet a side, like a full game money line in what seems like a while now. I've been just relying on team totals and first fives for a lot of times. I mean, yesterday it was funny. We're speaking about going against the market right now. Yesterday I felt like I was betting into all the traps. The lines were going against me and all that shit, and I had one of my best days in a long time. So it's pretty funny how that shit works. It also helps that it's no longer August and now it is September, because August was horrible. Now September is my favorite month of the year.
And what did you get on the over 5.5? What's the juice?
A 5 at minus 115.
Oh, it's over 5 at minus 115. Okay, let me just see if I can beat that quickly here. Boston Red Sox over 5 at minus 115 team total. And I can offer you just a 5.5 at plus 111. So we'll give you that 5 over 5 at minus 115. All right. You are in. Johnny Gunn says, what was the cash flow again? It's all on the over. And 15% of the tickets on Texas, 24% of cash. Then 80% of the tickets and 93% of cash on that over. Okay. There you have it. Bobano on the over 9 at minus 120. Jose on the Red Sox over 5. Team total over 5. At minus 115. We move on. 7:10 p.m. Eastern. Washington Nationals 45-86, 23-39 on the road at the New York Mets. 84-48, 45-21 at home. We're at Citi Field in Queens, New York. Will there be a letdown after that big series against the number 1 team in Major League Baseball record-wise, the Los Angeles Dodgers? Let's start with the weather at Citi. We have 75 Fahrenheit, 7.5 miles per hour to left field. Drops down to 6.8 miles per hour. Tommy Gunricci says Peterson is fire. And yes, it's Josiah Gray is pitching. We apologize for that space guard. Josiah Gray, 7-8, 4.67 ERA, 1.31 whip, 123 in the third, 140 Ks, 53 walks, 32 home runs allowed for young Josiah Gray. Coming off a 2-1 loss to the Padres, he pitched well, 5 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run. A solo shot, 3 Ks, 5 walks. On the road, he's been much better than he's been at home. 5-1, 3.11 ERA, 205 opponent's batting average. David Peterson on the other side, the lefty has a 3.21 ERA, 1.28 whip, 104 Ks, and 89 2/3. He is coming off a nice 3-0 win at home versus the Rockies. 6 innings, no runs allowed at home. Being a little worse than he's been on the road. 3.64 ERA, 250 opponent's batting average. Nats versus lefties, 247, 697 OPS, while the Mets versus righties, 277, 787 OPS. Nats bullpen, Mets bullpen, almost identical numbers. Nats 3.91 ERA, 1.35 whip. Again, all these stats are last 30 days. And the Mets bullpen 3.95 ERA, 1.36 whip. Let's go over to the line history in the Mets-Nats spot. We have these Mets opening up as minus 255 favorites and now minus 254. So a 1 cent move to the Nats. A possible letdown spot. This total opened up at 8. It's now at 7.5. And from a cash flow perspective, Mets with Nats 7,944 tickets in, 86% of the tickets, 89% of the cash on the the Mets, 37% of the tickets, 56% cash on the under, and it's dropped a half run. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Nats, Mets.
Nats plus a half, first 5. I'm going to take a shot with that. Josiah Gray, I want him on the road because that's where he's been at his best. 3.11 ERA. I also like the first 5 under a little bit here because I think sleepy bats early for the Mets after the big series against the Dodgers. I could see that. I think it's under 4 first 5. Yeah, I'm going to roll with that. I don't like seeing that from Slatsy. The track record of Gray against the Mets isn't good, but this to me looks like it's a sleepy spot. I've seen this from the Mets before. They can do this from time to time. They have big series, big games, and they fall asleep first game of the next series, especially against a weak opponent. And, we've got the Nats with Gray on the mound. He's at his best on the road here. So, and Peterson's been good. Peterson's had a shutout in his last 2 starts at Citi Field. So he's been absolutely outstanding lately for the Mets. So that's also why the under in the first 5, I think, has some appeal as well. So I'm going to go with that. And I'm going to go for a little more insurance there, +0.5 at a plus price. So we'll go with that. And also the first 5 under.
Nats first 5 +0.5 is +133.
Taking cash as if they're tied after 5, and I could see that here tonight.
And the first 5 is under 4 is -101. So first 5 under 4 -101, and that is Bobano's action here. I have a vividness bias of Gray when I backed him on the road a few times. The last one I lost, but I do think this is a spot. I do
have home run issues. The guy, he does. There's no doubt. That's been an issue.
Saying 32 home runs out loud is not a comfort zone, no. But I do think that you're right that there could very possibly be a letdown from these Mets after such an important series. I would like to look at Gray's last few starts here quickly because Peterson is not somebody that I want to go up against here. But I like that you're getting the half.
You're talking as a fan now. Come on. It's a division game, no sleeping. What? Division game against a team 41 games below 500? Come on now. If it was a game against the Braves, I could see you saying that. But it's the Nats.
Good wondering.
Or even the Phillies, I could see you saying that. But this is the Nats. This is bottom feeder.
Good looking at team totals. It's 2.5 for the Nationals at -122. 4.5 for the Mets at -104. So definitely expecting low scoring here. Let's just go quick look at the game log from 24-year-old Josiah Gray, who is a New York native. His last road start was nice, as we said, against the Padres. The one before that against the Cubs was nice. So it was that Phillies start that hurt me. This team has lost his last 3 road starts, which wasn't the case earlier. And he faced the Mets once this year. That's it, just once in the beginning of the year. And he got touched by them. It was his first start of the year. 4 earned runs. It was at home. So we know what happened to him last year. He got lit up and smoked. So interesting. Another thing, though, makes me nervous is when the total is at 7.5, I want the 4 to be really juiced. If it's not really juiced, I get nervous. Jacksonville Zoe says 32 home runs, and Gray does get his strikeouts. He's great and terrible at the same time. Mike M says, great at night, no thanks. I'm going to sit back and cheer on Bobano in this spot. Let's move on to Marlins-Braves, 7:20 p.m. Eastern, Truist Park in Atlanta, Georgia. Sandy Alcantara, do you start fading him on the road? Is the question that I've thought about. He's not looked good in his last 2 road starts. Man, did he come back against the Dodgers, though. Faced Dodgers back-to-back, once in Chavez Ravine, once at home. At home, he goes a complete game. 6-hitter, 1 earned run. It was a solo shot, 10 Ks and 2 walks. He was awesome. The start before that in LA, he lasted 3 innings. So he's a fascinating character. Let's start with the weather in Atlanta, and he's going to win the Cy Young Award. So let's start with the weather in Atlanta. 77 Fahrenheit, 6.1 miles per hour in, dice down to 5.6 miles per hour. Turnsy, my man, it's gone back and forth for the last 6 weeks or 8 weeks, but I expect Jose to come white hot in September through the end of the season and crush the playoffs and finish the year. I expect Jose will finish the year 5 units ahead of me. That's my expectation, but I've got a little lead on him right now. And let's pull up the line history here in Braves. We do know in Braves Marlins, we know that the weather is helpful for a lower scoring situation. We have no movement to the Braves at all, and this total opened up at 7 has moved to 6.5. So this is all interesting. Let's take a look at the cash flow here, because the very first spot I took a good look at was Alcantara. 6,620 tickets in. 45% of tickets, 45% of cash on the Marlins, no market move. 83% of tickets on the under. We don't know how much cash is on the under, but we know it's moved from 7 to 6.5. Sean D says Alcantara has absolutely owned the Braves and hasn't given up a single homer to them. And Tommy Gunn said this is exactly why there's no sleeping for the Mets. Braves versus Marlins. Braves are going to get their win. Billy Frieder says Alcantara 2 starts versus the Braves, 21 strikeouts in total. 2.82 ERA, 226 opponents batting average on the road, which sounds pretty good, but it's quite a bit worse than he's been at home. And his last couple starts have been touched. Charlie Morton coming off a 6-5 loss to the Cardinals, 4 earned runs, 2 homers in 5 innings, 4.10 ERA, 1.19 whip. But he's been much better at home. 3.07 ERA, 191 opponents batting average. Marlins versus righties last 30, 211, 618. Braves 253, 745. The Marlins bullpen's been struggling. 4.37 ERA, 1.69 whip. That's the worst whip in Major League Baseball over the last 30 days by any team. 3.65 ERA, 1.31 whip. Topset says Atlanta first 5 team total under 1.5 at plus money. Says cash it. So Topset believing Alcantara is going to have a good start on the road here. Does Bobano believe he's going to have a good start on the road here?
Wow, I got to lean to yes, but especially given his track record against Atlanta. But I'm worried about the innings mounting for him, because he's had some moments where he's not been nearly as sharp here post All-Star break. He had a rougher start against the Mets on July 29th. He had a rougher start against the Phillies on August 10th. He had a really bad start against the Dodgers a couple starts ago. And then he had a good start in the rematch against the Dodgers a few days ago, a complete game, 1-run effort. So he's been basically going bad, good, bad, good, bad, good, in his last 6 starts, which means it's bad start time for Sandy tonight. So, yeah, I don't feel good about this game either way, side or total. I think there's some value with overs, believe it or not. Now Alcantara starts right now because of the innings count, and I think he's going to labor a little bit, maybe down the stretch. But he's too good of a pitcher to lay this kind of price against still, especially with old man Morton, who I still don't want to lay this kind of price with. So I'm probably not going to be involved here.
Topset says he's on the showcase for the Cy Young. It's gasoline here. This was another spot that I initially thought I was going to be on. And when I studied the market a little more, I decided not to move on.
That's true. I'll give Dom that. You're right. I mean, Atlanta's playing Miami this weekend. You got to think they win that series. So if you're the Mets, you got to keep winning. Yeah, I do agree there.
I made 3 bets before the show started. And LJ from H-Town, by the way, on the first 5 under in the spot. Let me just look at this quickly, this first 5 under, even though I'm not going to move on it. I do have enough fear. It's still at 7 the full game, and this is at 3.5 juice to the under. I kind of like it. No. Okay, 3 bets I made before I came on. 3 bets I made last night, and I don't usually do that, but I thought I was going to beat market moves. We'll see if I did. I haven't double-checked it since about 6:30 this morning. This is the first one. I'm on Sonny Gray. First 5 -0.5 at -110. I bet that last night. And Davis Martin pitching in such a big game is part of the reason why this White Sox team has struggled. Here's a kid who was not a highly thought of prospect. Now, he's been decent, and I don't mean to put him down, but he's a 14th round pick in the 2018 draft. 4.62 ERA, 1.31 whip, 28 Ks, 14 walks. His last start was at home versus Arizona. He got touched, 5 runs in 3 innings, 3 of which were earned. And this is a huge game. And Sonny Gray, I think, will take care of business here at Guaranteed Rate Field. 7-4, 3.04 ERA, 1.1 whip. And he only needs to take care of business enough for me to catch this first 5 -0.5. Billy Friedrich says Martin wasn't good at AAA Charlotte, +5 ERA. I moved on the Twins first 5. I wonder if something it's North End is saying it's -115 now for the first 5. I like seeing that. Billy Friedrich said he's filling in for Kopech and his knee. For Sonny, his last start, 1 earned run, 1 hit, 5 innings, 3 extra inning win at home versus the Giants. His splits are fine. And on the road, 4-2, 3.15 ERA, 215 opponents batting average. Twins versus righties last 30, 246, 700 OPS. They're not hitting them. White Sox aren't hitting either, 263, 688. The big difference is this Twins bullpen. is so much better than the White Sox bullpen. So then you'd say, well, why are you betting first 5? I think there might be a little magic with this White Sox team. With La Russa gone, I wouldn't put it past the White Sox to kind of to galvanize the troops here. And I just want to focus on my advantage that I feel I have with Sonny Gray over Davis Martin, and I don't want to double up. So let's go over to the weather first in Chicago. 81 Fahrenheit, 8.3 miles per hour, right to left, slightly in. We'll move over to the line history next in this Gray Davis Martin start. We've had a 9-cent move to the Twins. As of 10:57 this morning, there had been a 20-cent move to the Twins. There has been some buyback on the White Sox, and that doesn't surprise me. I just not a numbers guess, but a gut feeling that Lance Lynn might have righted the ship for the squad. This total opened up at 8.5. Total opened up at 8. It's moved to 8.5, so it's gone up a half run. Let's see if the cash flow correlates with all of this. 5,926 tickets in, 71% of tickets, 96% of cash on the Twins. That makes me nervous. Market's not moving enough towards them. When there had been a 20-cent move at Pinnacle, I was like, see? Now that it's come back, I'm a little nervous. 32% of the tickets, 61% of cash on the under, which tells me that Davis Martin is going to have a good start here. Locked and Loaded says, loving the Twins, Jimmy. And Mike M says, agree with that White Sox magic spark look here. Top says, I think this is a fade spot for the Twinkies. And Jacksonville Zoe says, Sonny Gray's only been going through the lineups twice, so you only get 5 or 6 innings out of him at best. Top says over is in play for sure. He says, I'd stay off Jim. I'm on the Twins first 5 minus a half. But I do think that the White Sox can be sneaky. I do think they can be sneaky. Let's hear what our guy Bobano has to say about this one. Little AL Central matchup. These 3 teams could possibly be going down to the wire. Guardians, Twinkies, and White Sox. 2 of them in play here. Twins versus White Sox. Take it away.
So I've been fading the White Sox for like a week and a half. Every game almost. Pretty much. Actually, I would say every game. I took them I took Baltimore when they were in Chicago a while back and faded the White Sox there. The Arizona series, I was on Arizona every game because we just saw things falling apart for the White Sox, and that was rock bottom. They got swept by Arizona at home, and I took Kansas City in every game. Now the Royals lost 2 or 3 games. White Sox won the last 2 of those games against the Royals, and maybe they do get galvanized a little bit by the absence of their skipper, Tony La Russa, with the medical issue. But we'll have to wait and see on that. It's still an uphill battle for this team. I still think the line's very cheap for the better pitcher. Sonny, yesterday, I think he's going to pitch okay here for the Twins tonight. So I'm going to go Twins full game. I'm also going to go full game over because I do think we'll see some runs here. I think Martin capable of getting hit. His ERA at home is atrocious, 7.7 ERA in Chicago this year, which is just not good at all. And Gray, even though he's for the most part pitched very well, I mean, he's gone 6 of his last 7 starts. He's given up 2 runs or less, but one of his worst outings came against the White Sox back on July 14th, 6 runs in 3.2 innings. So the way I see it is I don't think I will lose both of these wagers. If the White Sox win, it's going to be high scoring because their offense will come to life and they're going to have to hit because their pitching stinks. Martin's not been good. And their bullpen hasn't been good. So to me, the chances are the White Sox only way to win is if it's a high-scoring game. So that's why if Chicago wins, I think the game goes over. But I also think there's a chance Minnesota can also win a high-scoring game as well because of that White Sox bullpen. But the one team I don't see winning a low-scoring game tonight is Chicago. So for that reason, I'm going to go with the Twins money line, full game over 8.
I will lock that in for you. That's minus 117 at Pinnacle. Sorry, I'm just talking to James here. James, how can I get in touch with him?
Bookmakers got 15. We'll go with that. Minus 115 over 8.
All right, let's lock you in. And you got minus 129 on the Twins. Let me know if anyone can beat that. Minus 115 on the over 8.
28 at Bet Online, actually. It's only 1 cent, but hey.
Oh, every cent helps.
Every cent helps. Yep, you got it.
James, please send Mississippi Kid our love. I had my back since I started, doing this all publicly. And I would love to be able to reach out if if there's a way for me to do that. I know that his Twitter handle's changed often. If you let me know, I would be very thankful. There's Sunny Springs in the house. Twins first 5, -0.5, -110 for me. Joe Yurkovich got that first 5, -0.5, +105. Twins full game, -128 for Bobano and the over 8. Gas Report says 61% of cash on the under in this one. I've got 69% of the cash. 33% of tickets, 69% of the... Oh, yeah, I'm looking at the right one. Interesting. I'm looking forward to watch this pop off here. Lately, when there's been a gambling situation like this, where the bigger bets are coming in on the under, and the total moves up from like a half run, because that's what this is. That's happening right now. 8 to 8.5. The overs are hitting. Whenever they make it more appealing for bettors to bet a side where the money's already coming in, that side generally loses. Thank you, James. Mississippi KI 20. Is it not Kid 20? KI 20. Sorry, let me do this here. Thank you, James. Okay, let me get this here. Sorry. Got to get in touch with. So it's Mississippi KI 20. Confirming that one more time. Okay, pop this in here. Thank you. Okay, let's keep rolling. Dominican reached the White Sox team total over 3.5 -125 is a look. It's a look that I find quite interesting. I really think that they needed La Russa. Fuck off. And because the people who don't like La Russa are going to like it, and the people who like La Russa are going to fight harder for him. I think it's a win-win situation. We move on here to the next spot on the board. That's Cubs-Cardinals, Busch Stadium. We have Adrian Sampson going up against Jordan Montgomery. Now, Jordan Montgomery got touched in his last start. 5 innings, 8 hits, 5 earned runs, 1 homer, 4 Ks, 1 walk, and a 6-5 win at home versus the Braves. But God, is he been good with the Cardinals. 4-0, 1.76 ERA, 0.82 whip, 28 Ks and 30 2/3, and just 4 walks. Just elite pitching. And sometimes you need someone to say, look, I don't want you for you to be your best. Adrian Sampson's last start, 3 1/3, just 3 1/3, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 2 Ks, 1 walk, 9-7 loss to the Brewers. He's been much better on the road than he's been at Wrigley. On the road, 1-1, 3.25 ERA, 257 opponent's batting average. The Cubs' last 30 versus lefties is terrible, 215, 608 OPS, while the Cards are hitting everybody and everything. Against righties, last 30, 289 average, 861 OPS. Cards, Control Your Vessel says they fired La Russa. I don't know. You think this is all I don't know. They would have done that a while ago. I don't think they would have done it right here. But that's an interesting take. Control Your Vessel. Cubs bullpen 5.17 ERA, 1.41 whip. Cards bullpen 3.77 ERA, 1.24 whip. I know they didn't really fire La Russa. I think Control Your Vessel is saying that this was a quiet. Why don't you just tell people you're sick? I don't think that's the case, but I can understand that angle here. Mike M says the medical is the perfect way for him to fade to the sunset and not take his dignity. Look, I think it's an interesting idea. Interesting idea. Okay, let's go over to the weather first here in St. Louis. 78 Fahrenheit, 3.9 miles per hour out. Then it becomes right to left. So not much wind. First hour out. Last 2 hours right to left. Then let's take a look at the line history in this Cardinals spot. Sampson, Montgomery. We have a 6-cent move to the Cardinals and no movement on the total. 6-cent move to the Cardinals, no movement on the total. When we take a look at the cash flow, we have 8,877 tickets in. 85% of the tickets, 77% of cash on St. Louis. Only 6 cents towards them. 15%, 23% respectively for the Cubs. Then 50-50 on the tickets for the total, but 61% of the tickets on the under. No movement on the total. Sampson, Montgomery, Cubs, Cardinals. Take it away here, Bobano.
I think I have found myself a nice little 2-team money line parlay for tonight. I'm going to do the Blue Jays now, which I mentioned earlier. I'm going to do it with St. Louis tonight. There you go. Blue Jays and Cardinals, 2-team money line parlay plus 104 at Pinnacle. I like that. I like that because I like both of those teams to win tonight. And now I don't have to ask either one to win by margin. A 1-run victory will get the job done. And obviously Montgomery's bet on all the way right now with the way he's pitching for the St. Louis Cardinals. We know the Cubs are already shaky. against lefties from time to time. So I think it's a great matchup. I think he can mow down this Cubs lineup. On the flip side, Sampson, he's had some good, some bad. But the bottom line is a huge bullpen edge as well for St. Louis. The Cubs bullpen's been awful all season long, and it continues to be bad lately as well. So even if Chicago's hanging around late in the game, how many times have we seen the Cubs bullpen just absolutely lose a lead, blow a game in the latter innings? And there's always the risk of that, even if this game is close in the late innings. So, yeah, we'll go with that. I was looking for that second team, and I found that second team. We'll go with a Blue Jays Cardinals moneyline parlay here.
Bobano, Blue Jays Cardinals at plus 104. Lit Picks is Cardinals Mets moneyline parlay at minus 105. Both our guys using the Blue Jays as an anchor here for a 2-game parlay. Don't forget Friends and Family parlay back in action here today. We move on at 9:38 p.m. Eastern. Houston Astros at Los Angeles Angels. We're at Angel Stadium here. Take a look at the weather in Angel Stadium. It's hot in LA. 85 Fahrenheit at first pitch. 7.1 miles per hour to center. Dies down to 5.1 miles per hour. Let's take a look at the line history in this one. Over here. Angels, Astros. McCullers versus Reed Detmers. Detmers coming off that really nice performance against the Blue Jays. You have a 10-cent move to the Angels and a full run. It's gone up a full run. It opened up at 7.5. It lasted there for about 2.5 hours. Moved to 8. Now we have 8.5. Let's move over and take a look at the cash flow in this one. 6,620 tickets in. 15% of tickets, 29% of cash on the Angels, and a 10-cent move towards them. Then 46% of tickets, 89% of cash on the over, and it's moved to the over. This is very, very interesting. McCullers' last start, 5 innings, 4 hits, no one runs, 2 Ks, 3 walks, and 2-0 loss at home to the Orioles. He's looked good in 16 innings. He's looked better at home, obviously, than he's looked on the road. Reed Detmers coming off that 5 1/3, 5 Ks, 3 walks, no one runs, 12-0 win at the Jays. At home, he's been quite good. He's been good this year. 3.47 ERA, 1.16 whip. He's been very good. At home, 3.20 ERA, a 178 opponent's batting average. The issue here is the Astros are destroying lefties. Joe Yurkovich says 20% home run boost, ballpark power. I believe it. It's always like that Angel Stadium when it's blowing out and it's hot. Astros is lefties last 30, 300, 853 OPS. They're just rolling. Angels is righties is 225, 669 OPS. Both bullpens are pitching well, especially the Angels bullpen. Astros bullpen starting to pitch a little better, but they were great all year. So take it away here, Bobano. 10-cent move to the Angels. Angels home dog here with Reed Detmers on the bump. What do you think?
Wow, this is a fascinating game to break down from the Houston offense versus the pitching of the Angels side of things, because Detmers has actually pitched very well since the All-Star break. His ERA is barely above 2 since the All-Star break. He's pitched a lot better, and Angels thought he was going to be a solid long-term piece of the starting rotation. He's pitching like it right now, but I don't know if anything is hotter right now than the Astros against lefties. They've got that swing back against southpaws, and the Astros are mashing the baseball. Really, they're mashing overall, but especially against lefties as of late. I think that's going to be tough for Detmers here, even though he's pitching a little bit better. On the flip side, you've got McCullers on the mound here for the Astros. He's been solid since rejoining the rotation earlier. Good numbers across the board for him. And the Angels, we know sometimes offensively they can struggle at times, but McCullers 1.69 ERA for him. The last 3 starts he's made since joining the rotation again in August, he's given up just 3 total runs over 16 innings, so he's been very good for the Astros. Against the Angels, he's actually struggled from a win-loss standpoint against them, but keep in mind all of those starts were 2 years ago, 4 years ago, and beyond. So all of those were a long time ago. So I just don't really want to step in front of Houston right now. I did take the Angels a couple games against the Yankees there. They played well in that series. They played well against the Blue Jays, obviously, last weekend, sweeping. They're playing better. They are a better team with Trout back, but I can't step in front of Houston or their proficiency against lefties. I would go with the Astros, lean to the Astros here in this one. I think I might get in on the over here, 8.5 in this one. I think that might be a look for me. I will add that as official.
Yeah, I should have gotten on this earlier. It's now up a full run from the opener. It's sat at 7.5 for 2.5 hours. But I can understand anybody who wants, especially with that last stat that Joe dropped. But man, okay, the over. Let's see if we can get you an okay number. The 8.5 is at -105. 8.5 -105. Let's just see what an 8 is, just to see. -125. 8.5 -105, or the 8 at -125, Bobano?
8. I'll do the 8 at -125. I like that extra half run on my side.
Over 8 at -125. It feels like that's a winning bet there. And Eric Jones gave us the stats on the Astros: 19-2 straight up as a -149 to -160 road favorite, coming off an AL West Division matchup. There it is, Astros, Angels.
I think the Angels can do something against McCullers, even though McCullers has been good, because Angels lineup, since they got Trout back, they had a good series against Toronto, Rengifo, and all these guys are starting to hit for them now. Fletcher's starting to hit again. They're starting to get their bats cranked up a little bit. I don't think they're going to get blanked tonight.
TJ says he's against the market on the under 8.5. His Angels pen is much improved of late. He has them 7th in their last 30. Yeah, they've been very good. Both teams play to the under. Houston's a road favorite, 17-35 to the under. Tease on Sundays on the Aces, first half money line at -104. And Alex Gagnon saying Blue Jays played only 2 series against sub 500 teams. There were Cubs and Angels, both blow Jays, as he calls them, 1, 2, and 4 in those. Okay. Yeah, they've not looked good in games they need to win. Yeah, Trance. I like the Bombers. Look, 2-time defending Grey Cup Stanley champions. I like them. It's tough. If you could get me in a Cinnebois, something, I'd rock that. I love that racetrack. Okay, Bobano on the over 8 -125 going up against TJ. So there's 3 games left on the board, and I moved on 2 of them. 9:40 p.m. Eastern, Milwaukee Brewers 69-61, 34-35 at the Diamondbacks, 62-68, 35-33 at home, Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm on the first 5 under 4.5 here. There has been no market move at all for me. It's still at that under 4.5 at -110. The roof will be closed, so no need to look at the weather. Lauer going up against Davies. Let's take a look at the line history and where the cash is on this. I was hoping that I would have beaten a market move here. That is not the case. It looks like there's been a move to the over full game. There has been an 8-cent move to Arizona, which tells me Davies is going to have a good start. And there's been no movement on the total. No movement at all. Let's take a look where the money is and see if that makes sense. We have 5,308 tickets in. Look at this. Ooh-wee. 5,308 tickets in. 67% of tickets, 76% of cash on Milwaukee. Slight move to Arizona. 58% of tickets and 91% of the cash on the over. Market not moving. Very, very interesting. Billy Friedrich says Davies last 5 starts giving up an average of 1.4 runs per game, and last 10 starts 2.1 runs per game. The picks is on the Diamondbacks money line. And Billy Friedrich on Diamondbacks first 5 and Brewers first 5 team total under 2.5. Eric Lauer, I know his stats aren't very good on the road, but I like him. He's coming off a bad start at home. These Diamondbacks stopped hitting lefties. They're hitting, but not lefties. Lefties last 30, 231, 646 OPS. I think that that Lauer is capable of slowing these Diamondbacks down. Space Guard Ghostman says, I really like the Diamondbacks in this spot. Having said that, they'll probably lose, says Space Guard Ghostman. Cheshire Cat says, does Jimmy base all of his bets on the market move? I look at the market move in all of my bets. I don't in NHL, but I do everywhere else, and I may start in NHL. On the road, Lauer, 4.15 ERA, 232 opponents batting average. Zach Davies, 2-4, 3.82 ERA, 1.20 WHIP. He's been good at home this year. 1-1, 3.26 ERA, 230 something opponents batting average. I don't know. I pressed the wrong button there. 5 2/3, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, no homers, 5 Ks, 2 walks, and a 3-2 win at the White Sox in his last start. Brewers versus righties, 224, 715 OPS. I already talked about the Diamondbacks versus lefties. Brewers bullpen's being a little better, 3.88 ERA, 1.27 whip, while the Diamondbacks, 6.52 ERA, 1.51 whip. Cheshire Cat says, yeah, but it seems that it influences every bet you make. Well, the last 6 months, I've beaten every single sport publicly in front of everybody, handily, with double-digit units. Cashed huge futures, had my best 6-month run of my career. So whatever it is that I'm doing is working in a very serious way, Cheshire Cat. Take it away here, Bobano. Brewers, Diamondbacks.
Cheshire Cat, I like you. You watch the Ice Guys all season long, and I appreciate you for that. But everybody's got their own way of doing things. It's just the way it is. No question about that. But this game is tough. I trust Lauer more than Davies. I don't trust Milwaukee more than Arizona right now. And I was on Arizona last night. I mentioned that with Jose Zenyatta Bouquet on the Say Hey Plays show, talking about Arizona last night. I thought they were very live in that game, and sure enough, they bashed in Brandon Woodruff pretty handily last night in that game, and they ended up winning 5-0 very comfortably. I like the way Arizona's playing, and you look for these teams that haven't mailed it in down the stretch, even though they're not going to make the playoffs. Arizona's one of those teams. They're 7-2 in their last 9 games. They swept the White Sox, who needed the wins desperately. They took 2 of 3 from a good Philly team. They beat Milwaukee, who need wins desperately in the wild card hunt. I mean, right now, Arizona's the team I have no interest going against at this point in time. They're playing good ball. Davies is pitching better. I'm not a big Davies fan. It's probably why I'm not going to bet the game, because I'm not a huge fan of Davies, but he's pitched better lately, as you mentioned. His home numbers are actually pretty solid. I just don't like what I'm seeing right now from the Brewers. And here they're going to have to face a pitcher that's in good form at the moment. And, you look at the last 10 games for Milwaukee against righties, only 220, 3.57 runs per game. On the flip side here, you're going to get the Diamondbacks facing the lefty and Eric Lauer. Well, they're 279, 7.84 runs per game against lefties in the last 10. So, yeah, to me, this is an Arizona or pass spot, but I'm going to pass tonight. I had my fill with Arizona last night. I thanked them, but I'm going to lay off the game. I would only back Arizona, though, at this price.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what their season total is going to be next year, and if they're capable of continuing this nice run they've been on this year. I'm on the first 5 under 4.5. Let's move on to 10:10 p.m. Eastern. Padres at Dodgers. Dustin May has returned his last start Saturday against Miami. 6 innings, 2 runs, 5 hits, 1 walk, struck out 4. His debut, he struck out 9 over 5 scoreless, went 1 hit innings. On Saturday, 56 of 86 pitches for strikes. Dustin May is a big addition to the squad since returning from Tommy John surgery, and they need him. Pimp slap play today is in from Mike M. LA Dodgers first 5 under 4. Yu Darvish going up against Dustin May. We'll start with the weather here in Chavez Ravine. 84 Fahrenheit, 4.7 miles per hour to right center, down to 3.5 miles per hour. 84 to 81. It's very hot in LA right now. We'll move over to the line history here in this one. Sorry, move over here and get this going to Padres-Dodgers. Here we go. Darvish versus May. This one's going to be a lot of fun. We have a 4-cent move to the Dodgers and a 13-cent move to the over. 4-cent move to the Dodgers, 13-cent move to the over. Let's go over to the cash flow in this one. Padres, Dodgers, we have 6,405 tickets in, 73% of the tickets, 91% of the cash on the Dodgers, just a 4-cent move towards them, 66% of tickets and 70% of cash on the under. Darvish, May, we'll go over. Darvish on the road, 4.44 ERA, 253 points batting average. He hasn't been very good on the road. This is a big series for San Diego. Take it away for us, Bobano. Padres, Dodgers.
Yeah, this is obviously a big series for that. For the Dodgers, it's a tricky spot because you're coming back from the Mets series out east without a day off. We'll see if they're able to handle it. So I don't love the spot. I certainly don't love the spot enough to lay a price with the Dodgers or take them in any form, but I'm not taking San Diego. So it just becomes now a sense of what do you do in terms of the total here. in this game between these two. Darvish hasn't been as good on the road, but his current form, last, I would say, 9 starts, he's only given up more than 3 runs in one of those, and it was in Washington. And even some of the other road starts, he pitched well in New York against the Mets, very well, pitched well in Detroit, pitched well against the Dodgers in Dodger Stadium, and pitched pretty solid for the most part, got to 7 innings against Kansas City. I think more of it lately, he's been better on the road. That's what I'm trying to get at. I think more often than not lately, we've seen Darvish pitch better on the road. So that has me looking at what a lot of the people in the chat are looking at here, and that's the full game under. I think that's a good spot. It's a long travel spot for the Dodgers coming back from Citi Field in New York without a day off. I could see the bats being a little limp today, especially Darvish has pitched pretty steady lately, and I don't see the Padres hitting a ton off Dustin May or the Dodgers. And again, the Padres lineup, they've been feast or famine, and right now the Padres are in a little bit of a stretch where the bats came to life against San Francisco's pitching, but I think the Dodgers might be able to cool them off a little bit here. So under for me.
That full game or first 5?
I'll do it. I'll do the full game because the Dodgers bullpen, I always want the minute.
Dodgers bullpen last 32.53 ERA, 0.90 whip. Padres 3.19 ERA, 1.38 whip. Dodgers is righties last 32, 68, 815. Padres 247, 28. I get it. I get that the Dodgers could be a little tired. My only concern is just the weather is just so perfect for offense in LA. I think that Darvish has pretty good numbers. The only guys that hit him, Trey Turner and Freddie Freeman. No one else has an average over 2. Mookie Betts 217 is the only one with an average over 2 against them. Betwood J says, I think there's a lot of value with San Diego first 5 plus 140. I think so too. And I think that it's very possible that Darvish has a nice start here. Let's just quickly go over Darvish's last few starts here. We have 1 game left on the board, and I did already make a bet on it. Let's get over to the Dodgers spot. I'd like to take a closer look at Darvish's last few starts. I think you guys are right. I think the Padres have value here. God, I do not want to bet against the Dodgers. I said that when I didn't take the Mets in their 5-3 win. And KC, 3 earned runs and 7. Washington, 4 earned runs and 6. Then he faced the Dodgers 4 starts ago, 2 earned runs and 6. You know what? I guess that's just not enough for me. I guess I just can't do it. I can't do it. What was your official pick here, Bobano?
Yeah, under 8.
Under 8. All right, let me give you the best line available for the under 8. And that is, here we go, taking a second. That is under 8 minus 101.
Pinnacle, yep.
Which that's begs the question, what is the 8.5 at? And that's at minus 124. Which one do you want, Bobano?
Under 8 minus 101.
Under 8 minus 101 for Bobano. Another thing that I would only look under in the Dodgers game. Tommy Gunn Ricci says Dodgers rally really haven't been hitting. This under for me is the safest play. Padres can't be trusted. Bo Jack says Darvish 0-3 on the road against the NL West this season. Okay. We move on to the final game on the board. I already moved on the first 5 under 4 in this one. Tell me at least I beat this market move. Can you please? No. Still available at the minus 115 that I got it at. Kyle Gibson going up against Alex Cobb. I know Kyle Gibson has had his troubles on the road this year. 2-2, 4.70 ERA, 255 opponent's batting average. The Giants just aren't hitting. Last 30 against righties, 213, 650 OPS. Kyle Gibson coming off a great start in a 6-0 win at home versus the Pirates. He's pitching very well right now. The Phillies are in the heat of a playoff race. This is a pitcher's ballpark. All these things tell me that Kyle Gibson's going to be fine here. Then you have Alex Cobb, who's been so good at home. Both pitchers are coming off starts where they didn't allow a run, which makes me a little nervous, because of sort of the zigzag idea that some of these pitchers follow. But I like Cobb. I like him at home, 2.86 ERA, 224 opponent's batting average. I know that the Phillies are hitting hard, but Cobb is capable in this pitcher's ballpark to slow them down enough. I'm staying away from the bullpens, but there's really no need. The Giants bullpen has fixed its problems, and the Phillies bullpen has been a little better of late. So let's take a look at the weather in Frisco. 59 Fahrenheit, 9 miles per hour out, drops to 8.7. Remember, that's not a big deal with the swirling winds at Oracle. Then we'll take a look at the line history in this one here. Gibson Cobb, we have these Giants opening up at minus 108. They've taken 6 cents, so now minus 114. And from a total perspective, it opened up at 7.5. It actually jumped up to 8 at a few different times. Wow, I didn't realize that. So it's jumped up to 8. It's still at 7.5 right now. Then we're going to take a look at the cash flow. We see this move towards the Giants, which I like seeing. 7,061 tickets in, 60% of tickets, 72% of cash on Philadelphia, and there's been a market move towards the Giants, which tells me the Giants' first 5 is live. I'm not going to move on it because I mean, is Kyle Gibson going to get lit up and smoked by this Giants team that's not hitting? I'd rather just cash the under 4. 54% tickets on the under, 48% of cash. Final game on the card. Bobano, you've been spectacular. 2 hours and 15 minutes strong, my friend. Phillies-Giants, what's your look?
I'm on Philadelphia plus 105, full game. Keeping it simple. Better teams. Giants can't. I faded the Giants a bunch in that San Diego series and Minnesota last weekend. I remember I was on last Friday. One of my winners was Joe Ryan and the Twins, right? Against San Francisco last Friday, and 9-0 that was. They just can't hit. They're not a good offensive team. Philly's got a day off after the last game against Arizona, so all travel to San Francisco. They get the day in between. All the bullpen arms are ready to go. Yeah, Gibson's numbers aren't as good on the road, but it's offset by the Giants' miserable lineup. Can't hit their way out of a wet paper bag right now. And Philadelphia, just better team. And look, 34-28 on the road as well. So they've shown the capability. They actually have as many wins on the road as San Francisco has at home. Coming into this game. I like Cobb a lot. Don't get me wrong. The under does make some sense, especially early in this game. But I think the Phillies are just a much better lineup right now. And eventually they're going to do enough to scratch runs across to score enough runs to win this game. Bryce Harper's back, as we know, certainly helps them out quite a bit. So, yeah, very simple decision. I mean, you're talking about a Giants team that's entering this game just on an absolutely dismal skid at the moment. They've lost 7 in a row. A lot of it's because of the bad lineup they've had. Philadelphia, they got cooled off a little by Zona, a red-hot Zona, as I mentioned, but they won the final game big, 18-2, and they're still 7-3 in their last 10 games. They won 2 out of 3 against Pitt. They dismantled a bad Cincinnati team. This is what Philly does. They beat teams out of the playoffs, and I think they will here.
Great breakdowns. Across this whole board, it looks like there's only one addition for me from the 3 games I bet, and that's the Tampa Bay Rays. Surprisingly enough, I thought there'd be more. I'm not going to force anything. Let's review all action, and then we will do the friends and family parlay, and Jose will be joining us for that. First off, Clint started the Die Hard MMA podcast, got us going with UFC Paris. He's on Charles Jourdain. I'm going to pop this into the chat. This was from our guy, Clint McLean, Charles Jourdain. LJ from H-Town's on the Astros, -0.5, first 5 at plus 105. Rays, -0.5, first 5 at plus 115. Rangers, Red Sox, first 5 over 5. Seattle, -1.5 at plus 125. And he's on Serena. Schnizzle is on the first 5 and full game under in the Guardians game. Bobano got to work immediately with CFL. Redblacks, plus 4.5, -111. Ottawa, Montreal, over 49 at -112. Blue Bombers, Roughriders, we stayed off. Bobano, if there's ever a time you want to jump in and add something, let me know. Bobano's on the over 49 in Toronto, Hamilton. And then he has Stamps, first half, -7. Team total over 31.5 and full game over 49.5. Well, I'm on the other side there. I'm on the Elks, and I think it's going to end up poor for me, +7 and +12.5. But in this interprovincial battle, I'm going to take the road dog, as they've historically done very well here. And I know that Chris Jones is going to be in everybody's ear after the Stamps put a beat down by 40+ points in Edmonton. So we will see. Senka, that's the only thing I'm on right now, and my confidence is completely drained. So I'm only on the Elks +7 and 12.5, and I'm very nervous about it. Go get it, Top Set, my guy. Coco Bongo here. 0-3 yesterday, so today can't get any worse, I hope, says Coco Bongo. Let's get you that cash, Coco. When we get to NCAA football, Bobano's on Michigan State -21. I want in, and I also want the Western Michigan under. Team total under. I'm on the Old Dominion Monarchs, and I got a bad line, and we'll see if it costs me, because it certainly cost me with the Pittsburgh Panthers last night. But I'm on ODU. I'm on plus 3.5 first half, plus 6 full game. Bobano's on Temple plus 9.5. I'm off that. Illinois, Indiana, no move, but there's live bet opportunities aplenty with this one. And Dabby Cab will be live for this game, so join us here at Pub Sports Radio. There's Mally Mal in the house. Good to see you, Mally.
And I will be popping in for about 15 minutes, half an hour on that tonight as well.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that's great news. Oh, I'm happy to hear that. Bobano's on the over 58 in TCU, Colorado. I'm looking at that Colorado team total under. Then we get into baseball. So I made 3 bets before last night even. It was last night. And those are Twins first 5 minus 0.5. Milwaukee, Arizona first 5 under 4.5. Philly, San Francisco first 5 under 4 minus 115. Then the only addition I'm making is the Tampa Bay Rays. Jays, Pittsburgh Pirates. We have my guy Lee Davis in the house. We stayed off that spot. Oh, not truly. We have a parlay. Bobano has a parlay. Jays, Cardinals at plus money. Jays, Cardinals. And Lit Picks has a parlay. Jays, Mets. I'm not on it. Rockies, Reds, we stayed off. Bobano gets his card started with the first 5 under 4 plus 108 in Oakland, Baltimore. Royals, Tigers, we stayed off. But Domingo Ricci didn't. He's on the Tigers under 8.5. He's in Tampa under 7.5. Oakland first 5 plus 140. Rays is my only addition on this card. Bobano's on the full game under 7.5, and he's also on the Rays. Mariners, Guardians, no action. Bobano's on the over 9 at minus 120 in Rangers, Red Sox. Jose's on the Red Sox team total over 5. Joe Yurkovich just moved on the Padres first 5 team total over 1.5. Bobano's on the Nats first 5 plus 0.5 and first 5 under 4 in Nats, Mets. Marlins, Braves, we stayed off. I'm on the Twins first 5 minus 0.5. I already told you guys about that. Bobano's on the Twins full game, and he's on the over 8 at minus 115. Talked about the Blue Jays, Cardinals parlay. Bobano's on the over 8 in Astros, Angels, Brewers, Diamondbacks. I'm on the first 5 under 4.5. Bobano's on the under 8 in Padres, Dodgers. Bobano's on the Phillies at plus 105, and I'm on that first 5 under 4. Let's welcome Jose back to the program, and let's talk friends and family, shall we? Friends and family. Bobano's been very nice with friends and family. We'll give Bobano the second choice. Let's hear what Jose has to offer us for friends and family.
I've been sucking dick with the friends and family parlay recently. I've been costing us a lot, so I'm trying to hit a layup here. Red Sox money line. Red Sox win today and beat the shit out of Dallas Keuchel. Or they break me mentally. We'll find out today.
Red Sox money line here for friends and family. That is minus 180 at Pinnacle. Minus 180. Bobano, what is your friends and family parlay?
St. Louis Cardinals. Let's do them. The red hot Jordan Montgomery making the Yankees.
Cardinals is minus 236. Cardinals minus 236.
Bobano, you know your audience. You know how to get me enticed with the bet. You know, if we're always saying screw the Yankees, you know how to get me.
Yep.
Leaving Jimmy with some tough.
Jordan Montgomery's getting to the Yankees and their fans right now with the way he's pitching.
Yeah, no, Yankees fans are hurt. Yankees fans are bitter right now.
I'm a little.
No, it's I only give one team in the parlay. That's the way it works. I don't give two. Yeah.
Oh, Mike M saying what was Ian's 2-team parlay? It was Toronto Blue Jays, St. Louis Cardinals.
Oh, okay, but the parlay I gave out earlier. Yes, Blue Jays and Cardinals. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I will be on the Tampa Bay Rays. Ooh, that was hard. Tampa Bay Rays minus 126. So let's take a quick look at what that is. So that is the.
This might be our juice parlay of the year so far.
Red Sox, Cardinals, and Rays. Rays, Yankees. That is a
plus 297 at Pinnacle for those three.
Plus 297.
Wow, I got plus 282. That's classic.
Plus 297. That Rays makes me. Piker says Milwaukee, Arizona, first 500, 4.5 is the top pick. I like that too, but everyone talking about what the Diamondbacks have been doing offensively last little while. I guess it kind of maybe trumps their numbers against lefties last 30.
I'm a fool. And, this is kind of my fault. We didn't talk about this earlier. I'm changing my pick. And I realize that today is Friday, so we're including a Saturday game, or at least I am. I'm including the UTSA money line in there. UTSA money line. Here we go. I completely forgot today is Friday. UTSA money line in there. What am I even thinking? Of course we're going to put UTSA in there.
What is that money line?
Let's look at it right now. They're +4. Money line right now for me, I'm looking at Bovada's +160. I mean, come on. How am I not going to take the road?
You know what's hilarious and I think scary if you like Houston in that game? It's that everybody and his brother and everyone I've talked to, Houston's great. Houston's terrific this year. UTSA's down a little bit from last year, and Houston's going to win this game and probably maybe comfortably. Yet this line opened 6.5 with Houston. It's down to 4. What that is, and I haven't heard anybody liking UTSA in this game, and yet the line's going that way. It's pretty. Red alarms are sounding.
I don't know why people like Houston in this game, but man, I'll tell you that. Dana Holgorsen, are we really going to say Dana Holgerson's a good coach after all these years? He's a one-trick pony like Cliff Kingsbury. Now I'm fired up again. I
don't think he's the greatest week 1 coach either. I don't think the first game of the season his teams have necessarily done well.
He stinks. I cannot believe I'm refired up because I've been looking at the comments. Houston fans have been leaving all over our videos, the UTSA breakdown, the UTSA show we do. UTSA is a commuter school. UTSA is this. There's going to be more Houston's fans, blah, 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 blah. Let me tell you what's going to happen there. There's going to be a close to a sellout in that fucking big-ass dome of ours, and we're going to rock the shit out of Houston. We're going to beat them by double digits. Dana Holgorsen is going to look there with his dick in his hands, not going to know what he's doing. Frank Harris. I say Frank Wilson.
That's good. Frank Harris.
Frank Harris is a machine. He's the best quarterback in the conference. They're going to win the conference again. UTSA by double digits. And I'm going to be there getting belligerent in the parking lot. And it's going to be a great time.
I love it. Wow. I love it. All right. UTSA money line for the big score. Tampa Cardinals and UTSA. Piker says UTSA produces the most body works and massage certificates in the country.
That is not true. That is located in Houston. That is the Houston Cougars. Actually, they have a nice school of massage therapy in there. Their athletic program's lovely. And for some reason, Deshaun Watson just visited there a lot recently. Who knows why?
There you have it. Don't forget tonight, live football betting action. And then tomorrow, Ian Cameron starring in the NCAA football Pub Hub here. And that is at 10 a.m. Eastern. And then we have UFC Paris. And right after that, we have Notre Dame, Ohio State. Huge weekend ahead of us here at Pub Sports Radio. 3:10 p.m. here. We have Prize Picks starting with Sharpie. Then we have the Daily Sesh at 4:20, followed by Say Hey Plays at 5:30. It is going to be extremely enjoyable. And then don't forget, Tuesday is our first Gridiron Gambler show with Andy Molitor and myself breaking down the entire card. 12-2 in the preseason. I went 12-2. Record's going to carry over. That's not just going to be a preseason record that we don't talk about. I'm going to carry that shit over.
Yeah, come on. We carry that over. If it was the opposite, we ain't carrying that shit over. No,
yeah, 2-12.
Come on.
I'd be like, no, that's the preseason record. Damon Santori says, I miss Bebsy. I'm going to have Bebsy involved. Don't worry. Bebsy's going to be involved. Tease is on Indiana -1.5, Michigan State -21 parlay. Bobano, spectacular work, but we have no show without all you guys in the chat. Thank you so much. Ick Schnizzle says, come vibe with us tonight on the NCAA football live stream. Shout out to Jeff Slaughter and the whole Pop Sports crew. Let's get this money. Space Guard, Ghostman, Damon Santori, Christopher Comentini, AOD, Top Set, Mike M, Teese, North Ender, Lee Davis, Piker, Cheshire Cat, Brian Watson, D Mills. All you guys, thank you so much. Mark Tequila, Mike M, Jay Peasy.
I'm glad I put Jimmy in the place where he has to root for UTSA if those first two legs cash. Win those first two legs cash. I love it. This is one of my ecstasies about friends and family.
Yeah, that will be it'll be fun. It's gonna be.
I hope you're watching. I'll be in the student section because I blend in with the.
You have to wait till tomorrow to cash this thing. You realize that now.
Oh yeah, I mean, Ian. Fine. Let me tell you, I'll be walking out of the Alamo Dome, fucking strutting my stuff when we cash this plus whatever parlay we're hitting right now. I'll be happiest person in the dome.
And Kyle Hintlian has an enormous bet, a huge bet right now on a tennis match that was supposed to start 6 minutes ago. I believe that it did. Let me just pull this up. So
take the over on when those the number of minutes and seconds those matches start beyond when they're supposed to be at the U.S. Open. None of those matches start on time.
It has started. Karen Kachanov against Jack Draper. He's on Jack Draper. And I also jumped in.
That sounds like it's a male-female combo.
I don't mind him betting that guy. That guy was phenomenal against Felix the other night. Terrific. That young Brit, he's healthy now. And I'm not a big tennis guy. I just heard this watching it. He's healthy now. They say he's always had potential to break through into a top 20, 30 player. And they say this is he's healthiest he's been, and it looks like this is the best he's playing. So ride the Jack Draper train.
You can get in live at a pick'em right now because Kachanov won the first game, and it's a tiebreak right now when I believe Draper is serving. So you can get in right this very second as a pick'em. You've done it at minus 150.
I will be betting that immediately, just for everyone's knowledge.
It's a huge bet for Hintlian. Bigger bet than I've ever made in my entire life.
Yeah.
There we go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bobano, spectacular work. Follow Ian on Twitter at Bobano. Bobano, could you say some last words and then let us into the future? But Jose, great job. And Jose, have a great show tonight on Say Hey Plays and keep getting that cash. Let's have a giant September. Bobano, take it away, my man. Yeah,
a great show. This was a lot of fun, 3 hours, but 3 hours well spent, if you ask me, with a great crew, great analysis. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. Lots of content on Pub Sports Radio all weekend. Live betting streams, UFC, college football, Pub Hub tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern with me, Connor, Big Ragu, and DJ Big Boss. Join us for that. I'll be on the live stream for a bit tonight, Indiana, Illinois. Check that out. Let's have a great weekend. Go UTSA. Meet. Let's get those Roadrunners going on Saturday. Let's all have a great weekend. Profitable. Enjoy it. And let's say, hello, bookmakers.
We at Pop Sports Radio are doing our own Cappers contest. $100 entry fee. We will all be competing against each other. Every single cent that's put in will go into the prizes.
You've got 5 picks every week. If you go to pubsportsradio.com, you buy yourself that little ticket that you see on the website right there. Just hit add a cart. You buy the little ticket right there. And after you buy the ticket, you'll get an email with a link and a specific password for you to log in, make your picks, and all that good jam.
So it coincides, of course, with a survivor pool. 1 pick per week, sports survivor pool. That's exciting. We're having a Cappers contest, 5 picks against the spread each week, and a survivor contest. We all get to host the victors and roast the losers. The Cappers contest at Pub Sports Radio. All you have to do is go to pubsportsradio.com to sign up.